first two maps, I feel like they're set up to get potentially a 2-0. Yeah. We talk about Haven potentially having Bastarda on this Killjoy that she just talked about. This is the agent that she's currently most comfortable with compared to all the other Sentinels, the Cypher that she was playing, even the Yoru that she was playing as well when they were playing these double duelists, and even going into Abyss. This is the map as well where SRN dropped those 50 kills. So it is a pretty good map for them. It doesn't matter that they didn't win it. They are incredible in the way that they set up here. Yeah,
I think especially a map like that, there are so many, maybe one decision, it completely changes the outcome of that map. And so, yeah, it's easier to zoom out from that and then feel much more confident about how the map played out in the long run. Again, Brazil with an opportunity here at the really courtesy of MIBR to make a statement early on in this tournament and prove that they are indeed a region that must be feared and cannot be easily reckoned with here, Potter. If you're GIANTX, how much of this is you're playing loose because you've got nothing to lose, as opposed to we can put the world on notice right here, right now?
I think it has to be the first. They've got to be loose. They've got to play loose and they've got to be free. Smurfette, an incredibly aggressive player on that duelist role. She's going to have to be the spearhead to kind of allow her players some breathing room and buy some space and buy some time for her team.
Take a look at Agent Select. I'm not expecting anything different, and yeah, it seems like a mirror comp on both sides, the same comps that we saw just a little bit ago, actually, in the previous series. So you were talking about Smurfette needing to be the setup. How much of this goes around the players, around Smurfette, to make sure that she's able to get the space that she needs?
I think Neon being on this duelist agent is going to help a lot. Certainly the speed of Neon, both comp right now for Haven. So I was very curious to see what other teams are going to bust out the Waylay like we watched earlier on coming out from Donna from Ninetales. I hope we see a little bit more Waylay in this series, but I love the comps from both teams here. I
do like what they're playing here, and we saw in the last series as well, keeping it simple and keeping it to a meta that has been successful in this map. The only change that we see across is obviously what we talked about, Bastarda going instead of that Cypher playing that Killjoy instead, and it's what is making sense right now. It is what is making sense for the new patch, and especially for her and her new role.
Yeah, I think we've set things up. I think, again, as we think about players changing and all the different roles that they're having to assume to do so on the biggest stage of the year, I mean, the brights don't get any lighter. That's not how that sentence goes. The lights don't get any brighter, and the stage really doesn't get any bigger than this for both teams. Wanting to make a statement early on, wanting to really get off on the right foot is exactly what you want. So our teams are locked in, and so are the casters. Here are Tom and Mitch on the call. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Doug. Yes, it's time to jump on into this matchup. What an incredible...
Bright light right here.
The bright light. It's getting lighter. This should be an incredibly exciting matchup, though, Tom, because obviously we're coming in here with a game that has history behind it, but more than that, it's on a new patch. We've got new maps in play as well from the last time these teams played last year. So really, it could be anyone's game, but it seems like the consensus definitely leans heavily towards MIBR.
Yeah, for sure. I want to also touch back on something Potter said on the desk as well, that I feel like Smurfette really needs to come out swinging, because we know SRN on the other side is going to come out swinging every single game. Like, she has been incredible all the way through the time in Brazil, and then Smurfette even took a little dip out of the roster for a bit. Susette came in, so the fact is there's definitely been questions about whether or not Smurfette can still have that same impact. Personally, I'll always believe in Smurfette. Like, when she is on, she is a true force to be reckoned with. But we need to see it in this matchup, otherwise they are going to be very quickly moving into that lower bracket. I
think that's a great conversation as well, because when you think about this matchup, as we've said, heavy favor towards MIBR, but if we can see GX turn up on the day, I don't think that there is a massive disproportion of firepower on this server. Really just depends what iteration we get, and we start out here on Haven. Abyss is MIBR's map pick, meaning this is where GX wanted to start, a chance to maybe set the record straight for the public out there and where those power rankings lie early on. And of course, worth touching on that we do come in here with a mirror matchup. These compositions being run, it is Haven, so I wasn't expecting anything massively different to come into play. But it does then, for me, draw my eye more to that SRN versus Smurfette head-to-head. Seeing those Neons coming into this server, I think we're going to get a real good litmus test of what game we've got ahead of us here, especially with this being GX's map pick.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be important for GX to do well here, because it's a map that they've definitely had their up and downs, had some struggles versus Twisted Minds over in EMEA, lost to G2 as well. We haven't seen anywhere near as many reps for the side of MIBR, but the last time they played it, they beat Team Liquid Brazil, which is not a bad team to be beating. We're definitely excited to see them later on in the tournament. But I do think, especially a map like Haven, I think for GX, starting out on the attack is going to be a nice little place to start. They've always been a team that's very good on that attacking side. And again, I'm going to highlight her once more, but having that tip of the spear of Smurfette is always going to help with that. But I also think for someone like Ness, who the IGL role has pretty much swept onto every single member of this GX team at some point, calling on the attack of Haven gives you a lot of opportunities, a lot of gaps that can be exploited, and I think her getting into flow state early in the match is important.
Well, MIBR, they had that run through the LCQ and made their way all the way here to Seoul. Now they look to claim an opening win, and it seems like the crowd is in their favor, but the barriers have gone up. Now it's time to fight round after round, with GX starting on the attack side, early play towards C long, take orb, and move back. This is very much a containment perspective in the early round, hoping that they can find some aggression from that defensive side. And it's worth mentioning as well, with the state of our current utility cycles, you have to be very particular about when you decide to go for those punchy hits, especially with a minute on the clock. There won't be time to reset.
Cross being held. So already spotting out a little bit of information, and a smoke has delayed. And with the amount of aggression that's already there for the defense, GX definitely need to be a little bit careful that they don't end up getting boxed in. They have, however, found a little bit of a gap, but a chance for the starter to slow them down or even segment them, as Smurfette has gone on ahead.
3 players moving through that spawn. It does mean that MIBR will play this much more passive. That's given opportunities, though, for GX to decide where they want to take the fight. And it looks like a crunch towards the spawn is the plan. Paranoia will slow them down in that line of thinking, and Toki sitting inside the orb won't be challenged, but it's inside a garage that Ness ends up going down, but gets one. It keeps them in with a chance of keeping control. Spam is good, damage done, but a 2 versus 2 with Smurfette so desperately low seems favored for MIBR. It seems destined to be theirs, but Smurfette claims the pistol for GX.
Fantastic start to the game for her. She was there taking so much initial space as well, getting past that utility, but the fact is it was the late game where she did most of the work, being able to win that 1v2 and basically just playing chicken with the diffuser on the other side. Decent sweep back in though. I think that was the impressive part for MIBR of how Lisa was able to do so much damage on the way back. And I think she almost manages to get the spam on the other side. It was so close, the round going the other way, but it is the pistol for GX. It is the start that they were looking for, and of course, not really expecting much of an investment. In fact, there's barely anything for MIBR here.
That's exactly what you'd expect. It's exactly what GX did as well, as you said. That's why Smurfette's confident to just walk this off. Although she has been caught without her weapon in hand, so it's going to be a pretty easy pickup for MIBR on that backside of C.
Flight.
Well, it's not a bad start. The gamble rotation as well is okay. We found a pick on C. Chances are they won't go C. So let's now move that gamble stack over to the A side. 4 players currently waiting, and that's exactly where the GX build is looking to make a move. Ness might get caught here. This fight could be everything. That's now a 2-player advantage as they go running into a stacked site. MIBR are in a perfect position here to potentially win a round that was a flat-out eco, which they've done it with 4 standing.
Oh, that's gotta hurt, especially with that weapon from C long being taken onto that backside of A, finding a double in the late round, the first one being the most important. It was a headshot, instantly deleting that player, and there was nothing in the arsenal of MIBR that would have allowed them to do that. Then you lose Ness, trying to claim that bit of space towards middle on B. From this point, it was already an uphill battle, but SRN made sure that they went tumbling down. That is a disastrous way to start this. A 1-0 start for GX. Being the underdogs here, you want them to have that little bit of a leg room, a little bit of space to work with, but right now, well, the shoe's on the other foot. It's MIBR off to a flying start. Pressure will be put onto them early, as it looks like Smurfette is out for vengeance and has at least found one.
A lot of damage damage done onto her, and Sarah's desperately low. Well, no, Sarah's gone completely. With SRN just holding the line with the Outlaw. This is a player that you can't really afford to peek if you're on the other side. In fact, nobody can take a single shot from that gun. A tough hold, to say the least, and SRN already building up those numbers. We know the stats for her are going to be phenomenal throughout this tournament. There's no doubt about that, but it is just a straight-up cleanup. 3 kills with a classic to close.
Yeah, this is a massive start for that defensive side. I'll keep in mind GX's map pick as well, and already finding this much value. Already we talked about the Smurfette versus SRN, that head-to-head being so exciting. And yes, we see a pick in a round where they don't have a lot, where it's only a Stinger to work with. Although, you know, Stinger previously would have been very strong. It has taken a little bit of a tick off in the recent meta that we're seeing here really for the first time within VCT. But SRN on the other side, it's been a hot start. Not looking to slow down either. That Outlaw in hand still going to have a lot of value to be brought to the table coming into this round. There's not light shields in play, obviously, but you think about that damage, the chip damage that can come into play. You think about something like a Killjoy turret, even finding a tag onto those players. And then you think about SRN and how frequently those shots seem to land on the head anyway. So definitely a lot to worry about for GX as they buy up those rifles in the early control. The orb's taken, but MIBR responding with that deep control towards A.
Pretty big boost to the economy early on. It'll be pretty paramount for GX to break back early in this one. Ults-wise, they're not in a bad position, so Yuri will be the first point of contact once again, but her goal throughout has just been to slow them within this B site. Again, smoke placed, and no choice but to fall back, at least for the moment.
The reset from GX goes towards A. This corner has to be cleared, and we start with the drone going out. That could be exactly what happens. Corner check. Yes, it is. And now in trouble is Melissa. There's no way out from L. Caught and deleted as SRN tries to trade out damage. And with Smurfette and Ava down to 1 hit, this round could very well flip into their favor. But SRN falls and MIBR under so much pressure. They've rotated the whole squad through, but they've not found a pick till it's a 1v5. Nice job to start it off. Bastarda gets 3 and gets out of there. Reset into the 1v2, and both players are 1 hit. This could be MIBR's round with an ace.
Just needs to find a single shot. The jump down will be incredibly difficult. That's the first, and only Ava remains, and it's going to be a complete rotation. Bastarda realizing that she has the time. 1 bullet will do the trick, just trying to find that final player, but couldn't quite manage it. And it's going to be Eva to cling to life, but that was almost the play of the tournament on the very first day.
That was absolutely outrageous to find that much value. And, you know, we talk about individuals and we talked about SRN, and sure, we got to see some of it there, but what in the world was that? You know, the players that were low weren't even the ones she started with taking down. Those were 3 full HP players swinging in. The spacing wasn't even that bad. It could have been a little bit better, but hell, you're in a 5v1. You don't think she's going to pull out a Goliath performance like that.
Don't worry, Eva's like, no, I've got this, don't worry. Don't worry. I had this all along.
Well, 2-2, and it has been anything but a boring map so far. Crazy rounds to start this out. As we go into round 5, though, it's rifles for both. We've seen the Hunter's Fury burned up in the previous round by GX, though, at the start as well. No surprise with the performance that we just saw. Has that ult online, so the possibility to play the lockdown is there, but they're going aggressive, holding this control on short, fighting tooth and nail for every meter of map control on this A site.
Melissa stuck in the mud. Poki's done well. SRN, though, trying to be the hero, and a decent attempt. This time, well, it's only 2 needed for Bastarda. Has taken the space, and already 1 player detained the fallback from Sarah, not realizing how far forward she's got. With Toki currently detained, she's not going to be caught. We'll be able to at least fight when the time's right. Ultimate not quite online. An orb take here would do the trick, but I'm definitely not sure that's worth the risk. And Bastarda is actually starting to rotate away.
30 seconds left.
Not quite the right read in this scenario, but of course Toki's going to have to take her time in clearing every angle before going for that plant.
Yeah, That's given the info. Started on her way and holding the right angle, the right time, but the spray doesn't land. Denied the clutch again, but she's been putting in the work. It's Toki to claim the lead for GX just about.
Yeah, all of these rounds have been cheek clenchers. Like, they're making me nervous for either side. A close call with Sarah being caught out by that peak. GX. Oh, you could look at the scoreboard and see the kill tally and you'd think they'd be losing this map, but they're not. They've been able to swing rounds with a single player alive in the last couple. And what that has meant is they put their opponents down to pistols. I will say, though, last time that was the case, MIBR won the round.
Oh, what a shot from Sarah, but it is returned by Sayuri. A 4v4, and we've seen how desperately dangerous those pistols are, as you said, Tom. Never mind the Hunter's Fury that's there to back it up, or a potential Viper's Pit by the time we reach the end of the round. GX need to be careful. Luckily, all their bases are covered right now. Turret sees the push out of Garage. Alarm Bot is covering this push through the window, and then they're watching for any A or C aggression. So there's nothing, well, watching for A aggression is something. I mean, they're watching for short aggression. Smurfette is the A aggression. She's taken full control here. Outlaw in hand, seen nothing. So they probably think someone's on short, but the spike can easily just get in there for the plant. Unfortunately, Ness has gone walkabouts, and now their flank is open, and there's a rifle to be retrieved with the advantage and the Hunter's Fury for MIBR. This is now a very scary round yet again.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential in this one. Luckily, Melissa is on the other side of the map, so it's not going to be a plant denial from that Hunter's Fury. When the time starts ticking, that's where you really feel like GX will find their favor. And that Hunter's Fury could instead be used to try and clear some of the positions already in play. And as you mentioned, with a rifle now found, it might be worth the risk.
Stealing sight. Well, here we go. It seems like they were going to go for it, but then the paranoia came through to disrupt it. Oh, and a bit of time! Toki tears them down and puts this into a 2v2. Much more winnable as Ava finds another and is ready for the final fight. GX 4-2 in the lead. They won the pistol and went 2-1 down. I was getting worried, but with how these rounds have gone, they've shown that they are capable of taking the fight to MIBR. That's even going to get a timeout out of the defensive side as they see this game slip away.
Yeah, I think it's mostly been resilience. They've gone down in a lot of these rounds, but it's been those fight backs that have worked out for them. A wonderful double from Toki, and then again, they were a safe pair of hands in these late round scenarios. It was mentioned on the desk somewhat as baiting, but I'm going to call it the Clutchmeister instead. Like, always seems to just do what is needed for GX in those late rounds. And well, for MIBR, it's kind of a difficult one because you have to talk about what is there to change. They've lost a few rounds off a singular player being alive. That one was only pistols. I guess maybe some of those early fights haven't really been going their way. I think the more direct execute approach from GX has made it harder for the players actually on site to survive. So maybe opting for more of a retake setup when you have the guns could be working out. Or maybe what you do is you get the other 4 players to wait outside, send in Bastarda first, see if she gets 3 or 4 kills, and then you just have to trade out the round. There you go. It's a clever strat. It's like, right, you guys now just need to win the 4v2 because I've killed 3 of them.
It's like a new version of strat roulette, but I actually might be statistically supported.
Believe in Bastarda.
Yeah,
that's
really.
the strat. It's in on the desk. I think, what was she, top 3 in terms of the stats? Why not?
Yeah, I can see why. Let me put it that way. But GX have done really well, despite these roadblocks that have been thrown up. But remember, that previous round was still pistols. They made it look very, very close for MIBR. Like, I said the game slipping away. It's more the rounds that are slipping away, right? Like, they have had so much contention in those rounds that you're not too worried. But it's just about sharpening the tools before you go in for this kill. As the A-side push for GX seems inevitable. The only thing they've got to cover their back is that alarm bot. Look at the push from MIBR. 4 players have come down mid. They have got complete control. The turret watching C, they're worried maybe someone's around there, but now they know that this A hit's coming through. And you might expect 1 flanker. Hell, you might expect a second after that alarm bot gets broken, but if you expect 4, you're mad.
They've got the 1 player with Hunter's Fury as the one that's not flanking, so it wouldn't give the game away if they're going to try and use it. Toki, though, has spotted out and been able to retreat just about. SRM was quick on her heels. Toki's now going to delay them. and that flank's value is somewhat dissipated. In fact, there's aggression on the other side. They're trying to pick off Melissa. They're trying to push her out of this heaven position. She needs to hold this, otherwise the flank becomes the only avenue, and she has managed to hold it. 2 players dropped. Toki, though, still standing.
They're defusing. That lockdown won't matter if it's diffused all the way. It's time to swing on in and look for the kills. As yes, those players will be detained, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. And the pit even denies those players being taken down. For MIBR, that went about as well as it could. I think a big part of it is keeping control of heaven. Otherwise, they deny that much quicker. But playing into the pit and everything else, I didn't expect them to have nearly as much of a chance as they evidently did.
Yeah, without heaven control, I feel like that's an easy spam. Because there's literally no angle you can fight them on other than just peeking them directly. So the fact that Melissa manages to get 2 kills there is just massively impressive. And while Smurf,
oh my goodness!
it's just rage at this point. Oh. Pure fight into the site. Toki's TP'd heaven, and well, the funny thing is this was the fake. They were planning to go the other way, and now they're kind of like, well, guys, we have A. I get that you have C, but like, Toki's now just fighting. By the way, she used the TP at the beginning of the round, so she can't rotate.
Yeah, it is going to be a long rotation that they have read. The fact that that spike wasn't even tapped by now makes it clear that that is the idea, to move towards C late. The plant has been acquired as a result. They've denied the Omen TP from Sayuri, so no early rotation towards C long. It's going to be a much more two-dimensional approach. The smoke went up in time, and they've gone pushing out one by one into the hands of Sarah. They have been crushed as a result. MIBR, great round in the previous, but GX right back on the board.
Yeah, these have always been the plays that is why if you've ever watched Smurfette over in EMEA or maybe even in early stages of champs, she's so enjoyable to watch because sometimes there will be rounds where you feel like the strat is just Smurfette send it. And when she was calling, you kind of go like, well, that's a bit of an ego thing. But now Ness is going, Smurfette, send it. And with the TP alongside it, it was a wonderful fake that turned into a fantastic take. Unfortunately for MIBR, this leaves them with not a lot in their back pocket. But as we've said before, Mitch, these are kind of the rounds they win.
Yeah, well, it's definitely the rounds that they have, I think, looked the best in so far. Certainly most consistently putting up those numbers. At least bringing it into like a 1v1 in the end. Smurfette, though, having none of it. That's a headshot on Elisa. It doesn't matter.
Maybe just swing out of a smoke.
Although SRN has got a double! What? That's the spike down as well! How's she gotten away with that? A 4 versus 3 now. Hunter's Fury online. Spike needs to be retrieved. All that control that they could have had from the space given up by MIBR. Those gaps have now been padded by Bastarda covering in that angle. GX, they're on the back foot, and it's crazy how consistently MIBR are able to take these rounds that we so often see as, yeah, they got a kill or they got 2 kills, a little bit of damage, but you know they were never going to win it, and they make it look doable, and they now make it look favorable. That's a judge up close. This is a dangerous fight to take.
30 seconds.
Oh, they have no idea, and of course they have no idea. Smurfette has been able to trade them, and the rest of the players are very far away. Lockdown gone. That's at least something, but it's also whether or not they're going to be able. Yeah, they have. They've retrieved a couple of the weapons. Further denial. Bear in mind, look at the clock. At this stage, that's another player down, and in fact, SRN catches the aggressor of Ness. It's crazy what they're able to do in these rounds, and of course, no surprise, it is our MasterCard Thrifty.
And no surprise, the timeout for GX after how that one went. You see SRN up on their feet, and you think, okay, hey, we got to take a moment, let them cool off, and let us heat back up. Because, again, it has been such a big problem for GX to deal with these low buys. And I get it, you know. It's similar to how GX found that advantage in the previous round by Smurfette putting so much pressure on A long by the TP coming in as well. So those A players are surrounded immediately and pushed on. But it's the same kind of thing that MIBR are doing on the defense when they've got those low buys. Like, they either move as a group or they go for this early aggression. It's catching GX off. And the first time, the second time, sure. But there comes a point where coaching staff have to step in and go, okay, here's the hole in our ship. Let's get that plugged before this half is over.
It's time for Asuka to maybe have a few words, because they've had rounds that maybe they shouldn't have won, like some of the very, very close ones with a single player standing. And then they've had rounds where you feel like they definitely should.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of don't want to disrupt the momentum when it seems to be working for you. But with now opportunities coming up for MIBR, and what I can only imagine will be a pretty scary attack side with how they've currently been playing as a unit. Like when they move as a unit, they've looked fantastic. And when they have had a site executed on with only a couple of players, that's kind of when they've been caught out. By the looks of it though, GX's fix is to go back to that same A-site execution with the Hunter's Fury. It worked wonders for them last time they attempted it with the sheer pace they hit with. 3 players are waiting though. One of them is SRN.
I don't think they're waiting, Tom. I don't think they're waiting at all. SRN's running it down, looking for the fight right off rip, and she's gonna get it! 1 already claimed, but Smurfette's there, returning it and putting GX into the lead. A 3 versus 2 advantage for the attack, and there's no early flank. Bastarda's miles away, lockdown's in play, but with the Hunter's Fury, it will just be countered out. Oh, and already Toki's watching the flank. So for Lisa, this one feels like it's already done, and the smoke fading is played very much against her.
Toki has been superb in all of the positions that they've needed her to be in. And I know, like, you'll look at scoreboards. Right now, she is at the top, but she won't necessarily always be there. But it's like the second Nest goes down and the alarm bot is offline, she's watching. That's why you see that run through from Bastarda, and you go, okay, there's a good chance I've got here so fast. They're all going to be within the site just in case somebody's there. Toki is watching it. When someone tries to flood back into the site, Toki is watching it. And she was one of the players that got the trade when they went for that aggression in the first place. If she continues to play like this, it is a fantastic sign for GX. And well, once again, we're going to see one of these lighter buys and a much more direct approach once more. A C hit with no resistance.
Yeah, full take for GX, easy as can be.
Spike planted.
But it's the retake for MIBR that I'm worried about. They've kept up all that utility.
There.
Not even going to have to wait for any of it to refresh. You can already see the ping up top waiting for the Sova reveal to come through, but
Do they use lockdown?
it started.
There.
With the drone being sent into play, it doesn't look like lockdown's going to be put in. Instead, it's a full push out. Bastarda's already taken down Nest. Hunter's Fury put into place. Smurfette completely surrounded. The backside push has worked. With Toki now trying to hold her ground, but players all over. It relies on players like Sarah. Diffuse underway, half already. Inside the smoke, the sprays weren't landing, but finally they do just in the nick of time. GX 7 on the board, a guaranteed lead at the half on their map pick.
It's, a lot of the time, this is the half where you have that expectation for a squad like GX. This time it was all about clinging to life almost. It was another fantastic start to the retake.
Let's go!
The Hunter's Fury definitely helped, but when you see that overdrive put into play for SRN, you're always fearful. Of course, she 14 and 7, top of the board right now, no surprises there. But maybe a little bit of a surprise in the scoreline. GX are extending that lead, looking for 8 in the half, and I think they'll be pretty happy with that.
Without a doubt, yeah. After winning the pistol and going down like that, and considering there were 2 rounds Bastarda could have won with a single bullet placed correctly, yeah, this is a great position. It's been a crazy game so far, delivering here on Haven and Abyss and Split. I have high hopes for. High hopes we get to Split, but we'll see. That's up to these teams. Well, second best at least. No bind here.
Meh. Well, 4 players set up. It seems like a guaranteed, use of the lockdown.
With the pit later on, though?
Lisa as well catching that alert.
Spike planted.
They've got themselves into a pretty decent position. Now, you mentioned the pit, but it's kind of on the wrong side of the map right now. It will have to be a late rotation in from Sarah, and already they're onto this diffuser. Somebody needs to get in and try and deny this one. They got it to half. That's not a bad start whatsoever, but the utility is slowing them down. Another couple drops. Sarah's spams. They did well last time, but she needs a whole lot more. They're just diffusing. MIBR will get themselves to 5, and maybe the close half that we kind of deserved in the end.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is the half that we wanted to see starting this out. A lot of people thinking MIBR would come in and just dominate from the word go, but GX, they haven't been pulling any punches here in map number 1, in half number 1. But of course, there's another half to come after the break.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back, folks. It's time to get half number 2 underway here in Seoul. GX have just put 7 rounds up on their attacking side of Haven, but MIBR, well, if you were watching that last half, you know just how close they were to claiming the half for themselves. So many incredibly tight rounds, but the cookie has not crumbled in their favor.
Yeah, obviously we see the Coinbase Econ report, and with SRN being the star of the show. And I don't think anybody's ever going to be surprised by that. If you've ever watched MIBR before, she is always someone that's putting up incredible numbers. And I think going into this attack side will be even more important. The same as we saw from Smurfette as that focal point, the tip of the spear. SRN is going to do that, and maybe even more. We'll have to wait and see. But for GX, they're going to be looking for their second pistol and maybe hoping they won't lose the second round this time.
Yeah, that's always going to be
Fingers
a bonus
crossed for them, you know?
Yeah, I think MIBR will have different hopes, though. They want to come in here taking the dub from the word go, as well as GX were in that first half. We've got a 2-round gap to play with. Pistol will put them back to even if they can follow up. There's a barrier's set to go up any moment. And then we said this is a mirror matchup, but I think the bar has been set pretty high for Smurfette after that first half performance from SRN. See if she can find that same spark on the defense.
Well, yeah, I'll be interested to see if she'll be pulling out the operator at some point, but we'll have to wait a little bit for that B-site take. Normally the more comfortable to get in, but it's whether or not you could hold on to it. Bastarda was watching for the rotation and the timing, where the turret's going to give the game away, and while her and Melissa will combine, already leaving this in a nasty deficit, and it got even worse for GX. Toki dropped. Eva and Sarah, all that remain, but just look at the positions of the attackers. I was going to say they don't even need to peek, but SRN needed to peek.
I mean, I would say they didn't even need to throw that extra nano at this point. Ava can sit there and go, I did some extra economy damage. I got rid of that utility. Look at that. A great pistol round for MIBR. I mean, from the first engagement, that was pretty much done. Containing that garage push, having 2 players and the turret holding back in there. And look how quickly Mel comes through to swing on that with her teammate. I think it was double headshots as well delivered by Bastarda that killed one and left one so incredibly low. And this is the team that came through and found that second round in the previous half. Now they look to do it with a pretty hefty advantage instead of playing with those classics.
Then again, we saw the opposite happen the other way around. It was the 4 classics that managed to take the round home, so nothing is given, but you'd expect that Lightning won't strike twice in the same map. You'd almost be a little bit disappointed if it did. Sayori leading the charge, but obviously has the least to lose. With only a ghost in hand, a chance to already even up that scoreline, and with a quick and swift double, chances now seem unlikely, but they're still being patient. I like this from MIBR, not overplaying their hand until the full force of their squad is there to join them.
Yeah, grouping and pushing is the only real play for GX, but seems like MIBR pretty ready for that. It's only Bastarda who's taking a risk, ghost in hand. Flank watch there for Lisa. You don't really want to see her sticking around on the flank either, because if she's playing down there, that's a rifle that can potentially be overwhelmed. She'll go back to clear it, and here's where the info falls into her hands, but it's costly as now that rifle's recovered. It's in the hands of Smurfette. The potential for damage now starts to build. Even throwing that off the map would be damage. But they want to take some more players out of the equation. Bastarda, though, has the exact same thing in mind. Boxed in, low HP, headshots will be an insta-kill, and Bastarda's got plenty locked and loaded. 7-7 for MIBR, and they will recover that rifle.
Yeah, I was about to say, she needed a moment to flex.
Yes.
Someone else had
The
to pick
others
up
had
the
to
gun.
sprint.
Like, you know, like, come on. That's what team play is. Like, while I'm standing up, facing off my opponents, you need to go retrieve the gun. Like, come on, it's the least you can do.
Priorities, and I think they very much have them in order. That's what I like to
They
see.
did get the gun, so that's all. That's all that matters. And well, it leaves Sayori with a little bit of a deficit for this one, but still a very strong buy. And especially when you consider they're on the attack now, they have the opportunity to group up, play a faster round. This could make things fairly difficult for the side of GX. Now, Toki had a fantastic start to the game, and well, looking to continue that. Her and Ava combining. We'll give them a player advantage, but still plenty of chance to response. I'm looking at 3 players, though, on that A site already, Mitch, and they may just need to fall back off this one.
Yeah, I mean, but look at where Smurfette is. Or not Smurfette, sorry. Look where SRN is. They swapped halves now. The spike is with her.
They do that.
All the way on the other side of the map. It's not like it's going to be full commitment, nor should it be. But it's all about the space that's found here, because there is so much being offered up. GX are playing this off the information that turret is going to give them on C. This player's about to give it away. There it is. Noise heard. Okay, they know it's a C hit, and that rotation comes through. But I think MIBR are playing them right here.
Yeah.
I think they're drawing those rotations, leaving Lisa to take A, sending the spike back in that direction, because keep in mind, you've seen the Neon, you've heard the Neon, you saw the reveal in Garage as well, so now you think, oh, there's 2 Garage, maybe there's 1 long, that's the full rotate, and now you start to realize just how silly you've been. GX, they've been sold, and the A side has been fully overtaken with an easy plant to be secured.
I was wondering whether or not we'll see Lisa set up with the orb, but she's hoping that, yeah, she can find someone first, but nobody rotates in. Now you have that orb for a post-plant flood. Not going to allow them in with relative ease, but it seems like SRN is almost going to play ahead of it and use that orb as an escape plan. The fact is, though, GX have other ideas. They're going all the way around the back instead. But those steps likely will have been heard. SRN being spotted, and Toki again winning the high-impact fight, the one that was needed. The remaining 2 now looking to fight towards long, and it's not gone to plan. Lisa is all that's left, and Smurfette will deal with her as well. What looked like a dangerous round ends with 4 standing for GX.
And I love this idea from GX. Once they realize the mistake they've made in letting their opponents into the A site, they triple push through mid, play late behind, send 2 players loud down long. So that guy on short, you start to think, well, okay, they're leaving this position. They're pushing through long. That's my moment to push short. That's my moment to take that fight. And Melissa goes in for it and finds that there's actually someone waiting, because Toki had faked the steps and then shift walked back in to cover that push. So they really started to add up very quickly what had gone wrong. Because when there were 4 players on the B site, it looks like, okay, it's a 3v4, but the upper hand's maybe in MIBR's favor. But very nice adjustment from GX, gets them the lead.
Luckily for them, that was just a bonus round. And while the early firefights looked like it could have gone Sarah's way, instead, a bullet bitten from SRN. And a chance at a response. Bastarda just so patient, lurking through, and expects both players to battle. It will now only be Ava standing. I wanted to ring around a Rosie. It feels like she's almost being tracked at this stage, with Lisa making her way through the A site.
Spike planted.
All the utility is being recalled, but of course, the only reason for doing that is that Bastarda will have the expectation that somebody could come from behind.
And every round that goes by, I'm increasingly impressed by Bastarda's performance. Again, thinking back to that first half, there were 2 really tough clutches that she was 1 bullet away from connecting. An ace that one of them would have been.
Oh, yeah, a 1v5 ace.
A 1v5
Oh, you're
ace.
underplaying
And it was what? It was 12 HP, and she just happened to look away from the angle the second that it was timing that cost her that.
It was almost play of the tournament in day one.
Yeah.
Map one of their
Like
their run.
round 5 or something like.
It would have been one to remember, but almost unfortunate that it happened so early. But yeah, 8-8. The lead earned in the last half has been expended, and as I said, I always feel like an attack side with SRN leading the charge. It really does feel like that 1-2 punch with Bastarda coming in. Of course, we kind of had that before with Jelly. I feel like those two always played very well off of each other, but this much more is like a push and pull. You take that early fight you know you're going to get from SRN, and then while you're trying to almost find a gap elsewhere, you walk back into Bastarda.
This is going to be a pretty easy take at the C side. Fully open by GX. Almost forced into a retake. Are they going to try to get in here on the plant? Surely not. Look, Toki's so close to that smoke. They're going to fire in! MIBR overrun to start with. Hunter's Fury finds one, but SRN behind enemy lines has to try to find an angle to fight from. There's a flank coming around from Ava, and that may be what seals the deal for GX as a 2v1 now in play. Smurfette and Ava up against SRN with a minute on the clock, a 1v1, and so close! MIBR, this has been the story of Haven. So close to connecting these clutches, but it always seems to slip through their grasp, and GX again maintain their lead.
I think GX might already be setting a record for most rounds won with a single player. Like, it's been absurd how many of these rounds have come back, and the only reason that SRN isn't looking the right way is just almost pure reactions to shoot the dart, and the second that shot goes through, Ava swings off the back of her utility. As I said, you put her in a clutch and you always feel like she's going to win it, and there's a very good reason for that, an incredibly intelligent Sova player. That was definitely close. And while for the attack, it seemed like their economy might have run dry, but they do still have a purchase of swords. Look at the defense. Look, they've already pushed all the way up. Bastarda, normally the one with the element of surprise. Instead, she's the one surprised. And while Ava has increased that advantage, Melissa has managed to push through, though. Timing is going to be absolutely everything. A freebie onto one, and they brought it back again.
You never can count them out. This game is...
Anyone. You can't count anyone out.
It's a game of madness. Look at this late lurk as well coming through from Lisa. If they can buy a little bit of time, but it looks like the other players on site are playing aggressive. They're holding for the push through the smoke, and that might be a mistake. Sayori has been spotted now, and they're emerging from the smoke to drop her as finally the flank comes through, but too little, too late. GX extending their lead, double digits on the board now for that defensive side, and their map pick that started out, it seemed like they were in treacherous territory. They went 2-1 down after winning the pistol, and MIBR had some crazy close plays that almost gave some clutches that would have locked in the lead, and here they are, 10-8.
Yeah, I love this round in general from GX because you've had some incredibly close moments of one player surviving. And a lot of teams will have that thought in the back of your head of, okay, maybe we need to play this one a little bit more safe. They might have a few pieces missing. They double push mid, find an opener, and then as they try and react on the other side of MIBR, they get caught by still two players being stacked up on A. There was so much of the map, well, mainly towards C, that was just left completely open. But they played that gamble, found those openers, and once again, they've put MIBR in a truly troublesome spot. The fact is, though, Mitch, it has been these sort of low-buy scenarios where it feels like MIBR can just pull something out of the depths. And, well, with Pletz now having an opportunity to talk to the team, maybe he's got a little bit of cheese, a cheeky idea to try and bring through.
Well, that's it. I mean, they've been winning these rounds without those timeouts, without touching base, without thinking too much about what they're putting into it. Now they got that extra minute. I'd be terrified. But you look at the other side for GX, I actually think this maybe even favors them more coming into this lower buy round because they've been the one making mistakes. Even in the first, the second round, not the pistol round, right, of the first half, we saw Smurfette walk up C long and get caught with the sprint still out, no weapon in hand. Then we saw Ness walk through mid and get caught by a poison orb being dropped. And that then gave a 5v3, and you know, it doesn't really matter what weapons you have in a 5v3, you're always going to stand a pretty good chance. And then you add to that the fact that I think SRN got 2 with the recovered weapon. It was mistakes from GX, it was individuals stepping out of line. And now they've had a minute to talk about that, to tighten the ship ahead of this, what has been a troubling scenario for them in that first half.
Yeah, I think also, like, the main worry in terms of ultimates would be the lockdown, but when you have Hunter's Fury online, it's a lot less terrifying. But as is often the case, when you have some of these lower weapons, the B site seems the kindest of the lot. Ava waiting patiently. Of course, doesn't want to be too aggressive here just because of that ultimate being online and being a hard counter to what's left on the other side. She does have to be a little bit careful, but of any of the players on GX, she often is the one who is careful.
Oh, going back out for more. One in the chamber and one on the floor.
Smurfette isn't careful.
Yeah, not even slightly, as another will be found. The cost paid, but with damage done onto SRN, with rotates, only one player on site right now. They could pressure Ness, and it looks like that's exactly what they'll do. They find it after just one. The trade's good, the spam's not quite there. That spray was shaky. Ava, though, corrects it in the end. Again, it is one where MIBR do a lot more than you'd expect them to, but 11-8 nonetheless. GX seem to be entering the home stretch of Haven, their pick. And with this round win, I think MIBR's chances, they tend quite heavily towards 0. This next round, not that one there. That was Anika.
Spike down A.
This is where expectations start to rise, but even doing that little bit of extra damage could help them further down the line. Of course, Abyss is one where, going off past stats, I think you'd fairly heavily favor MIBR, so they're not going to be down and out just yet, but the confidence is definitely rising. Smurfette finds the opener once again. The lurk of Lisa shut down, but the B site has fallen, especially with a potential post-plant lockdown that could be nasty. They're looking to try and get a little bit aggressive, but they've kind of put themselves into a tight choke.
Big mistake up against the Hunter's Fury. One found and damage done. Melissa managed to find a Hunter's Fury of her own, but I'm not sure if she's going to get the chance to use it. Lockdown put into play. Good damage, but Bastarda's all alone. And that lockdown will not survive very long at all. GX, they make that look easy. I mean, the first fight with Hunter's Fury is whatever, but they flood in completely overwhelming MIBR after for a flawless round and 4 chances to put themselves 1-0 up in a map that I think everybody thought, or a series rather, that everybody thought was heavily favored to their opponent.
Yeah, for sure. I think that they came in with a map that has been decent for them, but maybe not the strongest. But on this defensive side especially, they have looked like a different beast. Smurfette now claims her spot at the top. Mentioned her at the beginning as someone who needed to be on point, and she definitely has been. And as that confidence grows, she becomes ever more terrifying. For the round that's to try and cling to life in the map, the buy is not the best, Mitch.
No, it's not. It's not. In fact, but it might be too good. If it was a little worse, I'd believe in them even more. But in all seriousness, at least the one thing I'll say for them is they have that Hunter's Fury still. Melissa going for the fight deep and being shut down leaves that online, which is important when Ness has that lockdown to work with. Otherwise, that's a tool that will just be thrown through. But it also kind of means MIBR need to save it. You throw it through here to win the round, to get a couple kills, to do some damage, to clear space for whatever reason. Then next round, they have that lockdown to work with. And already, smokes are down, so Yuri's out of play. And the movement towards A site seems to be locked in, but they haven't cleared their corners. Smurfette somehow gets away with 2, and I mean away, because she's out of here. But so are Sarah and Toki. They've been dropped by Bastarda in another sensational effort. And maybe this time they can connect the dub on the back of it.
Though. The cross might be difficult. Yeah, no, there's no way she gets through. It's down to Bastarda to try and right the wrongs of the last ace attempt. She's going to have to try it again, and it's not happening. GX will take home their map choice of Haven in the 13-8 fashion.
What a performance. This started shaky. We saw MIBR bringing the heat, bringing the hurt. We saw so many rounds that looked like they would flip-flop into MIBR's hands, but GX, they found life late in the game. They managed to put up.
So a couple of changes to the Cypher, a couple of changes to the map as well. Dryad, your thoughts on the Cypher pick?
I don't think it's the strongest as well. I'm kind of surprised that they're going for this pick. I feel like there's so many other possibilities, but maybe it's a little bit of comfort when it comes to Bastarda and what she's comfortable in this map.
Well, let's see if we're going to make it to map 3 or if the series ends right here. Tom and Mitch, the mic's yours.
Yes, it is very much time to find out if we get to go all the way to split or if this is going to be the end of that upper bracket run for MIBR. A team that so many people had high hopes for here today, Tom. But you got to say, I'm impressed by what GX pulled out in that first map. Has it convinced you they're favorites coming into Abyss?
No.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, no. Yeah, unlike you, I don't like to celebrate too early, as we've seen with any time you supported Enzo. Anyway, moving swiftly on, I do think going into this map, obviously we've seen the changes to the map, but you do feel like with the compositions that both teams are running, there's a good chance that it's going to play fairly similarly to how it did before. And I think that is where you have to look at this as a heavy advantage, like a map where it was 2 previous defeats in dominant fashion for the side of GX, whereas very, very dominant victories in the last chance qualifier for the side of MIBR. So they're definitely favored, but the desk we're talking about, they don't believe that they've necessarily shown up to the party just yet. Maybe if that continues, and if Smurfette keeps going strong, if we keep seeing those high impact plays from the likes of Toki and Eva, then who knows? This could easily be a 2-0.
Without a doubt. Even though I came in today thinking maybe GX could take the cake, you know? Only one predicting them, whatever. Don't want to toot my own horn, but I will anyways. For this series, I really want to see 3 maps. I want to see split. I want to see the ideas as well. And we talk about ideas. At least on this map, it is going to be your Astra versus your Omen and Astra ideas. I like this from GX. So much to work with. On the defensive side, I think they'll find more of that value when they come to the attack, with how much control they're going to be able to deny early and how difficult it will be for initiators to reclaim. But here in the pistol, MIBR have already got space, a plant, and they're looking for deep aggression. SRN about to step through that smoke perhaps, or as the smoke fades, look for the fight, but Toki waiting on the other side, grabs the opening of the round. An immediate response from MIBR though, leaves Eva all alone. 1v3, damage done to Bastarda, but it's not even gonna come close.
Yeah, definitely the start they were looking for. I think the last map wasn't necessarily damning with, I would say, the first like 16 rounds or so, but the last like chunk that we saw going GX's way, it kind of looked like MIBR got a little bit boomed. This round to me is just like, okay, we're back. We're now on comfort turf. We've managed to win it comfortably. We're getting aggressive. We're willing to play into the opponent as well. And whatever you can't see there, they're definitely pumped up. 1-0. And well, in case you couldn't tell already, GX have decided to stack. Somewhat literally.
I am. So one of the reasons, obviously, I say as well, I think they've been seen.
Every single one of them just got tagged by a single Sova dart. That's hilarious.
It's not that surprising, I suppose, that MIBR have decided to rotate.
I don't think I've ever seen a full team just get hit like that. Like, everybody was like, right, I'll move out the way.
The totem pole has been dismantled, but look, it's being relocated, and it's gotten there much earlier than expected, already finding one. Melissa doing very well to clean that up, though. Look at that, just one loss. And the rest carry through what they have in their hands. 2-0 start for MIBR. And yeah, I think for GX, coming into these rifle rounds, the worry really is playing without that Sentinel. Obviously, MIBR, you're having your Cypher over your Omen, over that double smokes. There are going to be some gaps. And with New Abyss, there's certainly the opportunity to still hold those. But I am a little bit worried about how much value MIBR could find in this first half.
Even on the last map, they were running almost like a double lurk. Like you had Bastarda that would take space in pockets, and then you had Lisa who was just rotating into the very back line. So they have the players that are very capable of finding those gaps, and I definitely agree. Like I'm a little bit nervous that obviously this comp feels like it plays into the proactive style of GX, so I don't mind the comp, but they just have to be very wary of those 2 players in particular.
Take flight. Exactly, yeah, when it's found so much value already. And coming into round 3, it's a very strong buy for MIBR, and they're backing it up, putting through the Hunter's Fury. It's found a tag, Sarah's being hunted, and she will be dropped. An immediate advantage found for the attackers. MIBR from this point, especially knowing you're not running into Sentinel util when you hit, they could just decide to group as 5, but instead the B fake is called for, and that's going to put numbers back to even.
whether or not there's any level of hesitation from Ness. There it is. She was immediately rotating, now goes back to watch her own smoke, but Ballista is already out of it. The fake worked at least enough. Get them that opener and get them the space, and now for the 3 players left on the retake, bear in mind that this is technically a bonus of sorts, but not really with the amount of rifles that are in play. You almost have to question for the defense, is this worth going for? Can you find a gap?
Certainly seems like they're looking for it. Already dropped out of heaven, yep. Full commitment. Something has to block off main. The smoke.
Hello.
And, oh, that's nasty. The little cam on the spike is going to find a tag. Shock dart goes through. Damage being done. Lots of damage being done. Melissa's got the double. They tried to body block the shots, but that doesn't quite work with the shock darts.
Okay, I feel like at the moment she's completed Sova. We saw a full 5 scan of every single player in round number 2. She's 9-0.
Hunter's Fury opening.
Hunter's Fury opening, and then a double shock dart kill. Like, that's it. Just end the game here. She has completed Sova in 3 rounds of the match. Insanity. And when you look at the scoreboard, it's actual madness. She is 9-0. The next highest player in the server has 2 kills.
Well, if you exclude her, I think it's 10 kills total on the server. So yeah, it's almost 50% of the kills that have happened so far. A 3-0 start for MIBR. GX down to pistols, so a likely 4th on the board. This is certainly a big difference from what we saw over on Haven. Certainly from the second half of Haven as well, where GX seemed to have all the momentum and MIBR seemed destined to fall, really. But here, well, they have risen again. Completely different beast.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning as well that not long ago, last time they played within Brazil, SRN lost 21-23 and got 50 kills. So maybe Melissa's trying to do that in regulation. 50 kills in regulation would be impressive, but SRN maybe looking to try and deny that. And any aggression in this round, any fight in this round seems non-existent.
Okay, there you go, just as you speak. But I mean, it is definitely feeling like a
Enemy remaining.
completely different affair to what we saw on that first map when it came to pistol rounds for MIBR. Unless Sarah's about to almost pull out an ace and fall at the final hurdle. It should be a 4-0 start. The team who made it here through that LCQ, a grueling route. They took the road less traveled by, and well, they certainly aren't out of the woods, even if they do find this. Still have to go all the way to split, but Abyss is shaping up to be a map that looks pretty strong, at least on this attack. Again, we have the disadvantages for GX with the comp that they've brought in. I think this does play more towards their attack. It certainly brings a lot of problems to the defensive side. And I think we're not even at the point where we've seen those problems really exploited, with MIBR playing a little bit more direct in a lot of these fights.
The worry, though, is that when you look at the stats of their last couple of matches playing this, well, in the last 2 games they played, they only managed 3 rounds on the attack total.
MIBR?
No.
Oh, GX. Okay.
GX.
Yeah.
Like, GX were really struggling on this map. That's the thing. I feel like it felt like the veto was a pick your poison, and the poison that was picked is one that MIBR are incredibly comfortable on. They normally, well, I think the last 4 times they played this map, they have won the attack side 9-3. So they are very consistent in their manner of winning the attack side to an exact digit. But as of right now, well, if this ended 9-3, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. We're yet to see what GX have to offer on this defense, and while the pressure looking like it's already about to come in onto that A side.
Oh, it certainly is. A dive in as SRN takes control. The rest of the squad eventually going to go through to me.
Take flight.
They haven't found any picks off the back of it. GX are playing pretty passive. Putting through the drone afterwards to confirm the fight's still here. Toki grabs one through the smoke, but an immediate trade as the smoke faded and left her out in the open. GX again, they've halted this play towards spawn, hoping that Ness can find value, and what a position! Tucked in just on time, looking for another challenge, and it will be Eva to find it as Ness lands SRN on backside. Bastarda surrounded, denied the ace in the previous, and this time it will be the same. No clutch for MIBR. GX finally on the board.
That's a huge play from Ness. The only player that would be able to get over the trip that was holding the backline, and the full faith in it from MIBR ended up being their undoing. as Ness TP'd past it and just had a wonderful flank. Even still, what she does from here is impressive. The first kill was free, but anything else along the way was all her creating space for the rest of the team. That's a... Well, that's a round one by her. But let's see if that can be the start of something a little bit more. Of course, with how clean things have been for MIBR, they are coming in with rifles and even an operator on the attack side. It's going to be one for Smurfette as well. I had the expectation it could be there on the last map. Definitely seems like a plan here, and she'll get out with a good start, but a trade back already.
Yeah, the idea here was that they'd continue that push towards A after she dashes out. The value would be found by Ness, and Ness can stay here for most of the round. Having the ultimate for the instant rotation, which will be needed. Take a look at the B site. Pressure being put on there. Cage for the cross. Bastard is going to go and meet them, and this is going to be a hit straight onto the site, held by only Toki. And there's no one close to her. They know where she is. Hunter's Fury chasing her down, and the ult isn't alone. Bladestorm was following it up, and Lisa swings in the open. Toki was being pushed on 3 fronts.
Yeah.
Couldn't find the fight on any of them.
Yeah, I think she was even stunned up by Lisa in the back line. Oh, wonderful flick from SRN. Always dangerous. And that danger cannot be stopped. 4 kills in the take of the B site. And well, what was a quick blip in the last round goes straight back to regular programming.
When you see SRN standing up, I mean, I think almost every time GX are going for that timeout right after. Big round.
I think you do that if SRN's sitting down as well.
Oh, but that confidence is really building up on that side. And even after that stellar performance, which look at this, the dash into the quick tap on Smurfette to close it out. That's got to feel good. But then you think further, you think about the fact that MIBR 5-1 in the lead, and even after that play, SRN isn't the top fragger. Melissa still 9-1, only died once. That KD's going hard.
I like the calls in that round as well, because as you said, the bait and switch setup from GX was definitely not a bad one. But I think it was just a pure reaction of being able to find Sarah. Like, you know that the player who's getting you information around that B side of the map, because she was playing towards mid and B, and the potential denial of the knife, okay, all of that is now gone off the pick that SRM found by being patient in middle. You know there's an opening there, and you know with the Bladestorm that that opening can be exploited. Fantastic start, and there is no surprise that we're seeing the pause, because, as said, if we're going off what happened in the past over in EMEA, the attack side wasn't particularly good for the side of GX.
Help.
And if they get dominated in this first half, well, I guess it doesn't really matter how good the attack side is. You'd kind of expect that MIBR on their own map choice would be able to get a few rounds at least.
I mean, there's always hope, I suppose, that on the attack with a new meta that things can change. I don't necessarily think that I have full faith in that. With the way that this meta shapes up, you get much more heavily punished. You have less chances to re-hit sites. You have to be more intentional with where you're moving, and combined with also having no sentinel for back cover. There's going to be a lot for MIBR to exploit. Nice flash popped here. Pistols looking to take advantage. The element of surprise of a bit of a risky play, but Lisa's picked up all the pieces as a few players were pushed back. Oh no! SRN's alive? SRN's alive! How is SRN alive? And even goes hunting them down with a shorty. That's ridiculous. Plot armor in play.
Spike plant.
Sometimes luck just isn't on your side, and other times it is. SRN shut down Smurfette, who I think it just brought in the Bladestorm as well, so it hasn't got any better, and it's going to end up as clean as can be. Lisa now putting herself further up on the board. 6-1, 4 kills for her. And well, we're looking to see if there's any breaks on this train at this point, because right now it is looking very, very comfortable for MIBR.
No, right now there's no stopping them. I mean, in that round, SRN should have went down. Ends up being the one to delete the Bladestorm, which was the only thing that had any real threat on the side of GX.
Careful.
6-1 start. We haven't got high hopes for the attack side of GX, and, well, looks like our wish might be coming through with Split on the horizon. Still quite a bit to go, but this hill is becoming a mountain for GX, and at some stage it's going to be too steep. You need to pick up the pace soon.
You can see even just trying to bait sound cues and implant the starter into positions. This was something we spoke about at the very beginning of the match that could become dangerous without having that Sentinel in play. Almost just placing her into the backstab. Immediate usage of both the null command and the Cosmic Divide, but the Cosmic Divide is almost purely for bait purposes. It's like, okay, they've sectioned off this part of the map,
Spike planted.
but they still have all the info. They still have all the sound. They know where these players are coming from because of the player that they implanted earlier in the round.
Now doors open. Now they know, and SRN goes down. GX with the upper hand. Hunter's Fury is online. Do they want to put it through? The flood is already taking place, so there's no time for it. A full battle with two players up in heaven. One already spotted in the form of Bastarda. Lisa lands one up in hand. Another for Lisa. Triple kill after the 4K in the previous. And it looked like they were on shaky ground, but standing tall in the end. MIBR 7-1 up. There really is no stopping this squad.
It seems like we're just having a battle for who can put up the biggest rounds. This was super impressive from Lisa. And yeah, 2-for-1 collat in the middle of all of the madness. It definitely did feel like there was a little bit of luck involved in that one, but even still, she had two teammates standing up top. 3 players now make their way to 9 kills on the board. We were talking about at the beginning how Melissa had nobody anywhere near her. Well, luckily, the players now near her are her teammates.
One suppressed.
Round 9. Pistols for GX, and really, the next round, round 10 onwards, it's got to be a sea of Cyan with GX taking every round. Otherwise, this is going to be an incredibly difficult second half for them. They're already fighting against the odds with their previous performances. The starter is going to be dropped here. I talked about the next round. They do start this with an opening, but with Toki going down and the spike plant in, this again becomes quite difficult.
Oh, you could just see the confidence as well. Everybody looking to take up fights. You ask for a Sea of Cyan, maybe you'll get a Sea of Sayuri instead. Nope, that shot won't connect, but luckily everybody else is there to do the damage. A little bit more of a costly round, but at this stage that doesn't matter for MIBR. They have such an absurd amount in their account. Oh, well, the only problem they might have with it is hitting max cash too often.
I mean, could be another problem. They're winning these rounds so easily. Melissa might fall asleep. She was 9-0 in round 3. She's 9-1 now. Yeah. She almost got a kill there with the shock dart, by the way. Like, she's been putting up the assists. The damage has been there. The reveals have been there. Finding a little bit of space, but just getting bored, honestly, as everyone else just cleans up. As Lisa finds, like, multi-kills round after round. SRN's always there.
Look, if you all win 3 rounds apiece, you win the game. So she did her work at the beginning. Now it's someone else's chance. She's a generous teammate, as many Sovas are. Ever with a decent amount of early info. Hunter's Fury being thrown in. Sayuri already took down Ness, and the aggression is waited for. In fact, they've even spotted the second player, but Sarah does well.
Spike down B.
Even while revealed, there's a flank coming in as well. An opportunity maybe for Smurfette to try and shut down a player on the other side, but SRN instead has come in, and Lisa is just waiting for her. Leaving one standing. Bastarda, of course, always in the back, always behind them. We mentioned the problems she could cause. This is only the last kill of the round, but they're not going to mind. 9-1. An absolute clinic, and GX, after a stellar first map, have gone missing.
And even in there, to touch on the fact that Bastarda finding the ult, popping that through, that stopped the flank from really having any sort of impact. Because, yeah, Smurfette was flanking up behind. Lisa was under pressure. But then Bastarda reveals them all and goes, oh, there's one coming behind you. You can take that first fight onto the box and then just spin around. So the information game there, so important. As we move on to round 11. There will be a timeout in between it. You can see it was GX calling it.
The last-ditch effort.
Nobody can be surprised at that. Like that previous round was the one they had to win, and it had to be a streak to bring them back into it. Now they're going to be 9-3 at best, and fighting for that at the start with Sheriffs.
It's tough. Realistically, we had expectations of MIBR to be fantastic on this map. Those expectations have not waned, but another reason they picked this map is because it's one that's not very good for GX. So I think that maybe in other series they might pick their poison in a different way, like ban this map out and let something else through, but realistically, they clearly felt like they could find some strength here, and we're yet to really see it. Luckily, at least historically, Split was also a pretty good map for either of these teams, so although this one might not be going to plan, I don't think it's going to phase the side of GX so much. If you've been watching them throughout the year, when they do find defeats in best of fives, it's always going to 5. They are very good at resetting. They're always good at coming back into a match. But I think they're going to need a tough talk, and maybe they just have one. Maybe there's something that Asuka could have said, and if it was find headshots with the Sheriff, maybe it's working.
That's the first, and started down to 5.
Yeah.
But how much more can they do? 3 players pushing, 2 on mid, 1 up behind. Yeah, they know about Ness, but the backup here might catch them off guard if they extend. MIBR. Oh! It's going to be Ness to catch them off. Nice kill, and now, okay, players spotted pushing on mid. Sayori needs to win this fight. Flash is good, but Ava, even better. And now 5 HP on Bastarda. She won't last long. It's GX battling back for their second round with a MasterCard Thrifty.
Asuka, what did you say? I need to know. I need to know what you said, that while they're 9-1 down and getting absolutely battered, somehow they managed to win a round with the Sheriff. Maybe it was just give it to them. Like a TP into the opposing team spawn is always a bit of a bold call. Smurfette getting aggressive as well, but in a round where they had nothing to lose, GX have managed to find at least a semblance of hope. I said it at the beginning, the last 4 times that MIBR have played this map, they have won their attack half 9-3. Maybe they're looking to make it 5 in a row.
You want to fight it?
Toki in the smoke. I like the aggression this time. Not standing back, not waiting, but taking the fight to them. And look at the difference it has made. They can't even res that player without risking the spam, and now there's 3 players here spamming away is Sarah. Bastarda, though, keeping this one doable, baits them into the fight, but it's a fight that she will not win. 9-3.
Could have seen that coming.
GX with the bare minimum connected, but the real test comes on their attack.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an awful lot to try and be able to turn this one back. They'll have to prove sort of what extra little bit of depth that they do have ready and waiting for them, but either way, we'll have to wait and see what's coming after the break.
You're so bad.
Welcome back, folks. 9 on the board for MIBR. A solid first half as we get into our Coinbase Econ report. And I think no surprise really as we see Lisa getting the highlight. She had some phenomenal rounds.
I would say there's a few players you could have put up there, honestly. She does end up at the top of the board, but To be honest, it was actually an operator play on Astra that I enjoyed the most. So definitely a bit of a peculiar one. Also, you can see she didn't actually buy it. So it was maybe from enemy's hands, or maybe SRN decided wanted to be a little bit more aggressive at the round. But either way, she had a fantastic performance, and we sort of saw the banter back and forth from many different players being terrified to play against Lisa, but for maybe slightly different reasons from what's in the server. It was more what she was doing outside of the server, but I'm sure they're scared of her now in the server as well.
I would imagine so, yeah. 6 rounds to play with here in terms of the lead for MIBR. Quite a lot of wiggle room, and for GX, it's very much the opposite. They have to come in here locked and loaded with an immediate response to MIBR, finding the pistol, finding the follow-up, and then still putting a streak together.
As said, the last time they played this map versus KC, 2-6 attack. The time before that, it was a 1-6 attack. So they almost have to break the mold of how they performed on this map in general if we're going to see a return to form. But they've had the time. They put the work in. Qualified off the points as well, so had a little bit longer a break than some of the other EMEA teams. So you already know that is not the start the GX were looking for. A headshot found through the smoke, trades immediate, crossfire, builds, and well, Ness completely stuck in the mud. Ever trying to flank him, but even just retreating back to Melissa. Maybe she's the queen of the early round. Even still though, it's going to be Bastarda to close 10-3, and well, that lifeline of a pistol round, Mitch, it is gone.
Yeah. The first fistful of soil on the coffin at this point. GX being buried alive on this map, and you get to see why MIBR picked it coming into this. Obviously, when we talk about the attack side for GX as well, we don't expect them to bounce back based on history. But at this tournament, this is where you're going to dig deeper than ever, Tom. This is where you're going to push past your limits. But this might not be their limit. I think this is more of a limitation of just general teams. Everyone should be facing that sort of difficulty. We'll see. Pistols could maybe turn the tide. Taking the second round with Classics, that would certainly put them on the right track.
Pushing into Sayori again. She's dodged the flash. It's an early spam. A lot of damage done. A chance, genuinely, to keep things level and pick up a gun or two. That's about as good of a start as you ever could have hoped for with the weapons that were waiting on the other side. And there you go. Ever has managed to retrieve that Guardian. Still, though, 2 rifles and a sniper ready and waiting. This close position could make things interesting. In fact, it has. Down to the 1 versus 1. Ness yet to retrieve any form of weaponry. It would have to be the Classic to do it versus Melissa, who has been the queen of the early round so far. A chance to clutch out around, and well, it will be Ness to do it with the Classic. A MasterCard thrifty to keep GX in the map.
Yeah, I think I said it before this round started. Just no doubt in my mind that GX were capable of taking that one. You know, the Classic buy, it's a dangerous one. How they've gotten away with that is
I don't know if
mystifying.
Classic buy, if they didn't buy anything.
You don't know that. They could have clicked it. You can drop it and buy another one. Always a good strat. But for MIBR, man, like, it's an upsetting round, but they have so many rounds to play with that the bounce back, you know, can take a while even. And they'll still be in a favorable position, but that one's got to sting a little bit. They looked for the fights on main, they got overrun, and in that late fight, the Stinger up close alongside the Guardian did enough damage, losing the 1v1 to the Classic as well. Everything played against them, and now they're down to Classics of their own. GX waiting patiently for that aggression, not going to be caught off as they have been in the past. And what seems to be the most convincing anti-eco of the series for GX so far.
Yeah. Well, it turns out if you wait with all of your players outside one side of the map, and that's the side they push, it normally does go your way. And you can already see, the plan is to just go forward.
They're going to get the plant, though.
Flawless.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just about.
Get the additional orb at least.
A little bit of cash, but I think it's the orb on the other side, yeah, as you say. MIBR being able to find another. It was towards, was it Lisa that got it? It was Cosmic Divide, I think, that they farmed it up on. So, yeah. Not the end of the world, not the best, but small boost to GX, 10-5 though. Here is where the real game starts, because you've got Hunter's Fury for both teams, just 1 orb away. You've got rifles being put on the board for MIBR, and what is essentially a full buy for GX, but with a ton of credits left over. If you are going to make that insane comeback, that long road back into the game. This is certainly the best way to start it.
It's given them a decent boost of credits as well, so the chances of having any pieces missing pretty much for the remainder of the map incredibly low.
Recovering it.
It almost feels like they have to break the back of their opponents. Waiting patiently up top is going to be Sayori. She wanted more than one, and that's exactly what she's found. The rotation in, though, from Melissa didn't get the same sort of value. The advantage now claimed by that attack side, and with the post plant in, okay, they've cleared some of the closer angles with the cam, but it seems like GX have no plans to fight other than to deny that diffuser.
I mean, when you've got the Hunter's Fury as well, why bother? You have to commit a player to watching flank with no traps online, obviously not having a Sentinel. This is a bit scary, though. Now the players come forward as Ness lands 1 and 2 for a triple in the round, and a 6th on the board for GX. They don't even use their Hunter's Fury that's going to be kept for the next, and all things considered, again, it's a lights-out start to this half. They lose the pistol and go 3-1 up in the half. 4 rounds behind, though, still quite a gap.
See that confidence building though. I think one of the bigger factors we saw even in the last map victory, Ness individually was struggling. She was not having a good game, and I feel like a lot of that was almost off like having to focus more on leading the team. Now though, tops the board for her squad, starting to build into the map while SRN will meet her maker again at the hands of Ness. Starting to narrow down that gap, and considering the scoreline of 9-1, MIBR might start to feel that pressure. Like, they were so far out of this, they were playing maybe even more aggressively than they ever would, because they were just winning every single fight. You were getting collapsed through smokes, you were getting players who seemed like they couldn't die. But in the second half, they've looked a lot more mortal.
Oh, nice shot. This is where the danger comes into our mind. We've seen this before. Pistols for MIBR. The slow round from GX. The isolated fights. It's shaky, but Toki's done the dirty work. 2 versus 4. Grouping and hitting the site, all that they need to do. And there is a danger for GX that there wasn't for MIBR, which is running into all of that Sentinel utility. But as we can see, there's no Sentinel left to punish that. So they will easily break it, move to site, and grab the plant. The rifle the Bastardo didn't get anything there. I thought there might have been something waiting in mid, and it didn't matter even if there was. Smurfette's too quick finding the kill.
It only came down to a chance for damage, but not going to be happening. Looking much better against these low buys in the last couple, and well, I think it was in the last map that there were only 3 full buy victories for MIBR. They really struggled when the rifles were in hand. It's been a completely different case in the first half of this map, of course. But the fact that, well, the other side of the coin is they were doing well with the low buys, and that now seems to have changed as well. Tactical timeout going to be called for MIBR, and if anything for GX, you're going to be feeling quite happy about that. Like, you were completely knocked out of the park in those first 10 rounds, and now you've managed to force your opponents to actually take you seriously and have a think about what they're going to do to try and stop your flood of rounds back the other way.
Yeah, again, after I saw that second round fall apart, it's like, well, MIBR, they've got so much runway to work with, and almost as much runway as a Fast and Furious movie. But then we come into this, and like 3-round gap momentum there for GX. Issues from the previous map fully corrected. It looks like they found the golden path back into this game. And for MIBR, even feeling that pressure, as you said, is a great sign. For GX, they'll probably come into this thinking, you look at the veto, okay, Haven and Split, we win those, we win the series. That's sort of the win condition. Man, you know, obviously we could get lucky on Abyss, but don't count on it. Starting to get to the point where maybe they could count on it. And this rifle round could be what decides it. Big ults online for both squads again. But for MIBR, it's about the economy. They're investing everything into this, and GX will be hot on their heels if they lose this.
Oh yeah, as well. And another point to make is, if you've watched EMEA in the past, you know that GX are probably the most momentum-based team we have in the region. Like, when they get rolling, they're truly terrifying, but if they're slow to start, sometimes they just get absolutely cooked. Well, it seems like they were slow to start, but that momentum has come in late in the game. SRN, though, this is nasty, or could be nasty. Maybe wanted a little bit more. Gonna get caught, boxed in. Just that tiny spot was enough to turn what could have been the play of the round into potentially their own demise.
Take flight.
A push on towards the site. Sayuri will be spotted. The off angles from her have been good so far, but under some pressure. But only from Smurfette. The rest of the team might have to try and fall off the back of this one. That has not had the result they were hoping for when already having a player advantage.
I think another difficulty with how Bastarda changes up this utility. You never know what site is going to be free to hit into. Now, for GX, the A site was open for a moment. Lisa went back to cover it. And so GX could have found an easy fight over there, but they pumped the brakes. And now MIBR step off the B site. They're expecting that even if this is a B hit, there will be some presence towards middle. And now they know it. With that cam broken, Toki's been spotted, a known factor, and it looks like with 19 seconds left on the clock, MIBR are super happy to play this passive, a large part being because they have this ulti coming in from Sayuri, they have that Hunter's Fury from Melissa, and they have got a flood on the back of it, info falling into their hands, and this plant, it might be found, but defending that spike is a near impossible feat, but they're making it look doable. Down to just one. Ness alone against the Horde. Lisa and Melissa will close this for MIBR and finally put a round up for that defense again.
Yeah, that was a must win. They played into the retake because you look at the ults that they had at the beginning of it, and so you've got the null command, you've got the Hunter's Fury, and you've also got a Cosmic Divide. So if there's a player playing deep, you can just throw that in and basically make their situation null and void. But it's still got dangerously close, even with both of those ults coming in. The fight back from the two on the back side was a decent one. The remaining two, though, doing well to make sure Ness doesn't have another chance to be a hero. 11-7. Combo broken after the pause. And, of course, still 4 rounds in the lead. Only a couple needed to take us to map number 3, which I'll be honest, I thought we would have already been at by now. GX putting up a fight. The gloves are off. Smurfette has the operator. Bear in mind, this kind of works because she can pick up one orb, and that's the Blade Storm in hand.
They're trading out a round loss for those ultis, especially when MIBR are forced into playing it in a way that's difficult for you to counter. Them just waiting for you to make a move and then playing their ultis. It's not a repeatable success. We need to see a different element of this wheelhouse come out, and for GX, op and play for Smurfette, early control towards that A site. They bait out rotations and now look for B. Again, you have the trips in play on B, but Bastarda's changed up where they are. It's much deeper control. The idea being that when they do hit those trips, it's not for info, it's for SRN to get 2 kills.
Yeah, the kill trips in play.
And look how far back Bastarda's playing as well.
Because of that null command. I know that that's going to be coming in, so it's all a plan to set up SRN, who's actually going to be playing on the edge of the smoke, has been hit, so no dash available, and it's not pretty. SRN has had a couple of moments over the last few rounds where it seemed like she was going to be the playmaker, instead has been the one to be played.
For GX, no better a time for this to happen. Sarah just about makes it back, throws the knife in, at least manages to suppress 1 or 2. The utility coming out from MIBR as they now look to flood. This is a big fight though. 4 players still in main for GX. They lose the first in the form of Ness, but not before the trades come in, not before she draws blood, and with Lisa left alone, it will be a convincing hold from GX. Damage done, but only 1 player falling, and they're right back to winning ways.
Yeah, it does feel like the last couple of rounds, like there has been a play made by MIBR. I think it was maybe around 17 and around 19. And both times SRM was put in the position to succeed and didn't. And that's a rarity. Like we saw even in the last map where they tasted defeat that SRM was always a constant factor. They're going to need her to be a constant factor here once again with the Blade Storm. The only real danger was almost removed immediately. Oh, a nasty first knife. Will go straight into the dome of Smurfette.
It's definitely looking like a tough round for MIBR even with that dub, but again, those low buys backed up now by a Blade Storm. Man advantage already in play, and MIBR are rotating around. They're changing it up, sending SRN towards the A site. Not only SRN, but Melissa as well, so you've got that reveal to work with. The hope here that GX set themselves up for that take late. I think they might even do so. You can see Ava going for this deep control. This is a very risky round to go for these flank plays, though, to go deep into spawn. Like, not only are you risking being overwhelmed from all these angles, but if you go down, that's a rifle picked up by your opponents. The Blade Storm's already spotted her. Eva somehow still alive, but will be dropped, and now a big upgrade in play. Won't be taken by SRN, instead Sayori. And a 5 versus 2 that maybe even looks favorable to MIBR now.
Good thing will be for GX. They'll have a plant available. SRM from above has actually managed to take down one. Toki fighting has done a lot of damage, but it's left onto Ness. You mentioned the step up that she's had, the performance she's been putting in while leading the team, and now opts for a reposition. The risk, though, the smoke is still in play. An opportunity as they go to fight, but she will take down both! The Loch Ness Monster returns for the Red Bull clutch.
MIBR must have felt like, finally, this is our round. A 5v3, a rifle recovered, a Blade Storm still online for SRN. That weapon gifted to them, and SRN even finds a third. Toki runs out of ammo on the spray, everything set them up for success, and that little spray! It saves the day for GX. It keeps the climb in their favor. 9-11, a 2-round gap. I was a believer in GX today, Tom, but after that 9-1 start, it seemed impossible. But here we are, a reality of their own making.
You are a delusional man at times, but even you weren't that delusional to believe they could turn this back. But somehow, oh, maybe they just were. Maybe enough. Still, the lead sits with our opponent. Still, it's not going to be easy. And a flash that's helped out Ness there again. But the reveal's helping out. Bastarda still within this smoke, still looking to cause them issues. Ness has found another, but the trade is there once again. Ness is looking to do it all. The clutch seemingly bringing her to an even different level than what we saw throughout this map so far. Looking to try and lead the charge. A first map to forget, maybe a second map to remember.
Well, SRN still online and already spotted one. Rifle recovered, Ness down, and it's Sarah who has to clutch it out. Lisa gets MIBR a 12th. Walking through that smoke for the quick trade. And disaster avoided here by MIBR, at least locking in an overtime. But this game has been just delivering on another level. Individual stepping up. As you said, Ness, a performance we haven't seen from her in this series so far. Really seems to have woken up and found a taste for blood, I suppose, but off recovered, and MIBR with 3 chances to bring us all the way to split.
Oh, shit, Auntie. My bad, I couldn't kill him. My bad.
Well, considering as well, they were 9-1 down. She is now top of the board, 21-15. It just shows how much impact she has been having while also leading the squad at the same time. It is a skill that many hope to have. An early flash. An early peek, the spam on the other side from Sayori. Interestingly, look at the buy that's in for MIBR. This is not what I was expecting after the previous round.
I like it, though. When you've got 3 rounds to play with 3 chances.
They have a lot more than 3. I don't know if I'd want to give one away for free.
yeah, but then playing in on a mixed buy for multiple rounds?
Maybe.
Better to just come in strong, believe in yourself. An operator finding one. Oh, hold on! They might not need to worry about the future. With SRN down, though, this becomes difficult. Lisa and Bastarda, well, two players that you certainly believe in, regardless of the weapon in their hands. The
operator for Lisa, I definitely believe now.
One shot to the body for Lisa. In comes Bastarda with the Guardian in play. Almost had the right angle. That would have been a freebie onto Eva, who has no idea.
That's the spike as well.
There's a player right above her. And with 30 seconds and a complete freeze from GX, it looked for a moment like MIBR would start to step away from this site.
Yeah, they're trying to find themselves
Spot
safe spot. Maybe even trying to wait for a smoke to be online. Lisa's weaponry now becomes a slight bit less valuable. She's going to be the one to try and take charge in the front of the smoke, maybe give an opportunity as they wait. A nice shot from Bastarda, though, has definitely made this a little bit more interesting. Toki waiting, the fake smoke doesn't work, and it's Eva to potentially close from the top line. A 10th round for GX, but as was pointed out, that was only a couple of saved weapons. Even after the victory, didn't want to send their entire economy into this one. So you sort of mentioned not wanting to go in with a couple of half-buys. I am actually looking at, for now at least, there's a couple of Guardians in there, so they kind of have.
They invested too much. Yeah, listen, that's suboptimal. And they almost managed to win the round as well. Maybe you're right.
Maybe we'll see them sell and buy some light shields. It's possible, especially with the timeout that's about to come through. Another opportunity for Coach Pletz to talk this one over. And I believe the last time that we did see the pause come through, it was a combo breaker. It was the next round that they managed to win.
Yeah.
Well, if they win either of the next two, the job that seemed to be done in half number one will eventually be finished.
But I think it's worth mentioning at this point for GX, like, you know, 9-1 down is somewhere that you got to always believe that you can come back. And we've seen teams, you know, there's plenty of them out there who've made even more convincing comebacks or more convincing games for their opponents. Yes, exactly, exactly. More than 9-1, I'll tell you that. But the reality is, it feels like when you're 9-1 down, the best you can do is wish on a fallen star, and that never did me any good. But for GX, it certainly has brought them back into the game. 10-12, and I think that will stand to them if they do lose here, because it's not like they got absolutely smashed. They know, hey, if we played even 10% better in that first half,
yeah,
it's a different game altogether. And then they move on to Split, where they'll feel much more comfortable. Again, this was not the map that they came into today thinking, we're going to push MIBR to their limits, and they have.
I guess the only counter to that, though, like, you're going to have the relief for MIBR if they close it, but also you'll now be disappointed if you're GX. If you get blown out, you kind of go, okay, that went badly, but you bring it all the way back and then lose? No one enjoys a fake comeback. 2 rounds needed, 1 for the side of MIBR to close it. They have come in, switch things up for the most part, but they do still have themselves a couple of Guardians instead. As said, they haven't got the perfect buy even after waiting.
Oh, the dive's already come through. Smurfette up close looking for the fight, but will be dropped as SRN falls. The Jet's already out of play. It's GX with a flurry of frags to find themselves a massive advantage. MIBR have Bastarda and Melissa again. Ness still drawing breath. The rest of the squad, sure, some are tagged up, but they don't need to fight. It's a little bit risky. In a 1v3, it looks like they've already got the dub. Economy low for MIBR, and saving this rifle now seems far more economical than going for a 1 versus 3. Regardless of how close Bastarda's made those rounds in the past, the stakes here, they are pretty high compared to that first map. MIBR now facing a potential overtime as the next round is going to see its fair share of weaknesses. I think maybe more excitingly, a Blade Storm for Smurfette. I think a scary thing to face off against, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, in a lot of cases, in a lot of these rounds, she's been the one like sort of diving in to take the space, and then it's been the rest of the supporting cast that have been able to sort of pick up a lot of these rounds. Super impressed with the level that we're seeing across the board, but the fact is for MIBR, some of those superstars have gone a little bit quieter on the defense. And now they're really going to need them because this well, it stinks. It's a singular rifle that will be coming up for SRN, and then the rest of the players are down to SMGs and pistols. In the last map, that was where they were winning it, but as was all mentioned, in this map, it's not really been the case. I think GX, especially on this attack side, have done a lot better a job.
Yeah, MIBR seemingly cursed in this half now on the pistols, but this is where they've done so much damage in the past. Hunter's Fury there for Melissa. Smurfette able to make it to the site, luckily. But the challenge from MIBR will come in later. Playing to deny that plant, and Toki watching for that, gets caught off, completely deleted by the Hunter's Fury too. GX want to respond with a deep push towards the spawn. Smurfette has an angle, but the Blade Storm doesn't land. It's a disaster. Falling seemingly at the final hurdle as a 5 versus 3 comes into play. Rifles recovered for MIBR as well. They are fighting with weapons now. No weaknesses left, and it's falling across the board for GX. Ness left to pick up the pieces. It's close, but one shot away from OT. Instead, map number 3 locked in with a last-second win for MIBR.
Oh, God. I feel like OT was deserved for GX after that comeback, but I'm more than happy to see that a map number 3 is going to be coming up.
In this map over and over again. Yeah. And it's a standard as well for this team, specifically for MIBR. So as teams, as both of these players are starting to heat up a little bit, I still have confidence in MIBR and GIANTX to make this a close map.
Are we expecting the Waylay to primarily be the one to dive in and then just get info and get out?
For sure. I mean, that right now, the sexy play of Waylay is to just dive in, drop that bubble, recall right back, and then your second duelist is right there following up with the util to punish. So, yeah, I think the double tag team of just diving in there, it's going to be a lot of pressure for MIBR to handle.
Well, we're going to have an opportunity to see that exact thing play out here in just a few moments. So, for the very last map and for the very last time tonight, Mitch, Tom, take it away.
One last time, it's time to kick off this map, and it is split. I'm delighted that we've ended up here, Tom, and the fashion that we got here couldn't have been more exciting. From GX on map 1, it would have been a tight first half and a dominant second, with a dominant second from them in the second half of Abyss too. Yeah. Then it'd been 13 to 11. We really had to come here to split the difference between these two teams.
Yeah, it's always one of the sickest maps in the pool to end on. I feel like it probably has some of the highest hit rate for OT, but also the fact that we got both teams now switching up to a double duelist as well, and one of them being the Waylay for Ness, who, if you've not been following Ness for a long time, back in the day, she was one of the best Jet players you're ever going to see. Like, I think the only reason she ever switched off duelist was because Smurfette was one of her closest friends and also a really sick duelist as well. So the fact that we now get probably one of the longest standing duos as players together, playing a double duelist together while Ness is calling, I'm so excited to see what they're going to cook. But then at the same time, Bastarda has been unreal when she's played the Yoru. So I think this is going to be a nasty map of Valorant.
I expect nothing less. Early fight towards B main sends just a 1-for-1 trade. Damage done onto Toki, who barely managed to survive that, but the orb will be claimed nonetheless. And MIBR's tactic here was to make noise on B, but send the players to the A site slowly and sneakily, and it has worked wonderfully. They have got full control of plant. You know, Melissa's very far away, but not needed for now. And look at this deep spot they've taken towards the spawn. GX have to be so careful on the way back in.
It's normally a position where you have some form of expectation of, but it's also that long wraparound coming back in from Melissa. Like, they have got both sides of the map sort of locked down, and I feel like this is a nasty trap that Toki is going to be walking into. SRN still hasn't been spotted. She knows there's a deeper player, but Sarah's done very well on the other side. So I feel like it's almost going to be swings and roundabouts, and Toki is just sort of playing with the remaining two. She knows where they are, and somehow has managed to live a lot longer than expected. Sayori, though, has done well on the site, at least buying a little bit of extra time. This nade needs to do damage, and maybe it'll do just enough. It will! It has denied the defusal. SRN with a last-minute dunk for the Red Bull clutch.
And absolutely nothing has changed since map 1 and 2. That's good to see. This game is pure lunacy.
That was like a cross-court throw in a basketball game. It's like, I've
At the
got
buzzer.
1 second to throw. What an insane play from SRN right at the end. And I was worried for them because I think that the fact that Sarah so easily killed off the other flanker put so much pressure on Sayuri, who did fantastically well, but you still needed that nade to save the day.
A well-placed piece of utility has netted MIBR the opening, the pistol round. But opening pistols seem to be somewhat of a, well, pistols seem to be somewhat of a curse. Half the time you end up losing the follow-up, and at least based on what we've seen so far in this series. Whether it will be the same or not, well, I'm doubtful. On the defensive side here, the Classics grouped up in heaven, and they expected that fight to be much closer than it was. Lisa, easy triple, gets out with 20 HP. Nothing for GX in terms of advantages, because they're not going to get a fight until Lisa, until they've picked off the rest of the squad, and as you can see, that's looking pretty unlikely.
Spike planted.
It's definitely felt like at times these second rounds have been a bit of a curse, but not this time. Very, very clean from the side of MIBR. Not looking to give their opponents anything in that second round. And well, now this is where you see that purchase come into play, of course. Both these teams have definitely shown that they can have stellar attacks. And this map is likely to be no different. It was the same for GX as well, so I think this half may be about getting as many rounds as they can, especially with that double duelist now coming into play. But for the side of MIBR, it's almost getting back to regular programming if they can continue what they did in the last match.
Oh, Sarah's gotten there just in time. A second later in that fight, may well have been a death sentence. That nade, though, has sent Sarah right into Melissa. Down to a sliver of health, but it's enough to stay alive as the cross comes in on mid, but it's spotted. That was a very necessary break of the Boombot. Almost taking the kill and doing lots of damage. And Sarah's just confident enough to keep on swinging. A triple kill in mid, and relatively easy looking round for GX, or I guess for Sarah.
Sarah's like the one person who survives in Final Destination. It's like you see the paint pot hit by a piece of wood that looks like it's going to make something fall from the ceiling, and then at the end she's just like, oh yeah, no, somehow I've survived. It was a dangerous round, but she's not going to mind. Come out with 3 kills, moving closer towards that Viper Spear. Wow, you can see that there's definitely some fire and flare down on the stage. Of course, a victory here, giving them that opportunity to stay within the upper bracket.
I'll find you.
Doesn't look like there's going to be any easy games throughout this tournament. And well, what a start already for our starter, Sarah, once again in a little bit of trouble, but you never know, maybe that means the opponent's in trouble.
It often does. MIBR. Wow. They've put a lot of players towards B, giving up on that mid control, and hope here was that Lisa could contain that late round space,
Just a dry
maybe
peek,
play
by
the
the way.
lurk, but yeah, you were expecting to see something before a swing there. Toki now under a lot of pressure, but Eva's here to back her up. The flash as well going to be popped, and no swing. Toki isolated, at least manages one more, but the lurk up mid from Bastarda. Even on 30 HP, she's able to bring this into an advantageous spot, leaving Sarah alone, and Sarah wisely decides to try to isolate this fight, knowing there's only one player, but Melissa gets the better of her. A 3K for Melissa, and a 3rd round for MIBR as a result.
A very good round from her individually. There was a lot of points of this where it felt like it easily could have swung back in the other's favor. A nice couple of bait plays, especially when you lose your lurk on the other side of the map. It's just some raw aggression, but she does well to steady the ship, isolating both players within the back of that B site and closing out the round in turn.
Boa, Melissa, caralho!
Putting herself up to the top of the board, and more importantly also getting that Nightfall online. There's still a buy here, but when you have that ult, it can be problematic. An early fight, and well, the trade's going firmly in the favor of MIBR.
player
Wow,
standing.
there is next to nothing that Eva can do about this in a 1v3 other side of the map as well. That clock is going to be ticking. At this point, you just probably better off, as you say, just carrying that weapon forward to the next round. MIBR finding a lot of value with this incredibly direct take. And I mean, there were numbers here to defend it, but after losing this one, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a timeout pretty soon, because you're starting to think about Abyss, where MIBR built up so much momentum, where we saw them play slow rounds with success, and we saw them then play super direct, and it didn't seem like GX had the answer to the questions that MIBR were putting up, and now the stakes are a little bit higher. There's no longer another map to fall back on. There's no longer a second chance. It's map number 3. And it's a 4-1 lead for MIBR.
You can see what this squad is like incredibly good at. Like, you have those contact plays and then immediate faces from the remaining side. It means that any of these sort of traps that are being set up or any of that utility put into play, it's just so difficult to deal with. And every time somebody was trying to set up a response, they were just immediately dealt with on the other side. So aware, so prepared, and it's again the early round Queen and Melissa that's taken over the server. 7-2 at the top of the board. When your Fade player's doing that, you're always going to be happy. But more importantly, they haven't had to use any of their ultimates while doing it. They have 3 currently online. Dimensional Drift only 1 away. Well, if you're doubting whether or not Bastardo will be able to get an orb or a kill, you're foolish. Now, there is the same for the other side. The issue they have is they don't have the finances. So already, as you said, an early enough pause for Asuka to try and come in and turn around this tide, because as you said, in the last map, if they had 1 or 2 extra rounds, it could have been very different. The same said, though, they won 2 of their 3 in the last 2 rounds. So it could have been, actually, we've closed this very quickly after the pistol if they didn't manage those late ones.
That's the thing as well when you think about what you just said, Tom. There's 3 ultis online for MIBR, and it's not like we're talking about From the Shadows and a Neural Theft. You have a Nightfall in play, and about to have a Yoru ult in play as well, the Dimensional Drift. Those 2 are going to get you onto sites. You then look at how you punish. Well, if you're on the site, you put your Viper's Pit down, or you use your Showstopper, whether it's getting into the site as a third option for entry, or whether it's
entry options are good.
You know, you can do anything with it. You can hold the site, you can take the site, and you can play for the post plant. So for MIBR, they're up against an eco as well. They could potentially have 3 rounds off the back of the eco, and then the ults, but they're going to play this safe, and oh, it's found so much value for SRN. 1 ulti committed. There's 1 on the other side, though. This is going to get a little spooky. Luckily, Paranoia has done its job. Sarah is taking down Sayori, and this is not quite as clean-cut as it seemed like it would be.
Yeah, they managed to get another rifle. Sarah has found a kill. The problem is the amount of damage that was done already. It was a very nice attempt. And I don't think we came into that round expecting only 1 player to survive from MIBR, but it's one that, although costly, I don't think they'll mind too much, because they traded out a lot of the opponent's ults while also using a couple of their own.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think Smurfette made the right call, right? In a round like that, you have the Showstopper, you know they're bursting out at that point, and you found the pick. That is 100% the right call. Really good work from Sayori to put through that Paranoia. What surprises me is the fact that MIBR used not only the Showstopper, but the Nightfall as well. And the Nightfall almost became a necessity because they lost so much space on the site to re-clear it. But it has cost them a lot. Now, the Viper's Pit will be put into play in this round by the defensive side to cover off that mid-control. But again, I look to MIBR. Massive advantage in this round. They find a lot of information here. The starter, TP's back, and now it's the A-Take. If they get boots on the ground here, Viper's Pit goes up, and this becomes another round where MIBR seemingly have a chokehold.
Much damage. Eva's done well, but the damage isn't going to mean anything until Sarah swings. That's at least made things interesting.
No pit.
Ness had a rough first map, a fantastic second, and now seems to be struggling again in the third. And while Melissa, she has been deadly so far in this first half. Puts her 10th kill onto the board, and while with only Toki standing, sure, there's 2 very low HP players, those duelists, but look how far away she is. She is purely playing for the post. And even she'll expect that Toki's going to come looking for her. Like, you can't leave that player in the back line and look to try and win this round. And the second any contact is made, she'll look to go running, but instead, just the time bought alone. is enough for Toki to have to fall back, and Melissa may even just execute her at the end. No, she will be allowed to escape, but at a 6-1 scoreline, I don't think MIBR will care too much.
Yeah, and again, you could look at this and go, look how close it was, right? 16 and 20 HP. This could have been a completely different round, and Eva on backside was doing so much damage. Reality is, though, 6-1. Same old story. Back to Abyss, where we looked at GX and said if they had just done a little bit more in those early rounds, and now we might be in the same boat again. It's time to show up, and time is running out as MIBR steam into the lead, build up that momentum, and by the way, still have the Viper's Pit because Sarah dropped a double kill that was a part of that was Lisa, which meant they couldn't use that pit to secure the round. I think they're probably, in hindsight, pretty happy about that.
Well, once again, very happy MIBR fans right now, and you can understand why. Their attack sides have been stellar all the way through this series. Nonetheless, Ness will be able to find one. A return to form almost feeling necessary, and well, again, these early fights working out. SRN wants to try and take the battle and will win it at that. And although Sarah's definitely had some moments, actually she's found a rifle and will hear the steps going back the other way. If she gets the timing right here, Mitch, she might be able to catch them. This is potentially going to line up perfectly for her. She just has to hit the timing bang on.
They're watching her. Yeah, they're worried about it.
Oh.
That's absolutely perfect play. And SRN's even swinging back out on the back of her own nade. Pixel perfect. No notes for MIBR. 7-1 in the lead. And for what has been a close series, and even looking at the first two maps, it was GX taking the majority, or the round advantage, I suppose. They won 13-8 versus a 13-11 loss. And here, it seems like there is a clear victor already. A second timeout being called in by GX, coming into round number 9. They are panicking, and rightfully so. It seems like MIBR have a chokehold.
Yeah, I think they've also realized, though, that similarly to the last map, they know that they can pull out some numbers over on the attack side. That was always the case in the past when they played this map. And we've already seen it in the last one, but the problem is you do need that wiggle room. You need a chance you lose a pistol, that doesn't end the game. Last time you have to bear in mind, the only reason that comeback even started was because they won a second round with classics. Like, you can't rely on that every single time. And for MIBR, as you said, they are currently reading the room almost perfectly. Like, when it comes to these direct, aggressive plays, the trades are on point. The reactive utility has been stellar. You mentioned the use of the paranoia. You mentioned how the Nightfall had to be used at times, but whenever they have used it, it always seems like it's had impact. And then you have some of the patience that we're seeing from players like Melissa, like sitting back in moments where there's no reason to be aggressive. Like, they have been fantastic on this attack. And GX have not been able to find any sort of response. This round, though, we're going to see them invest into that operator, a chance for Ness to maybe be that a little bit more aggressive, because thus far, Mitch, she has been struggling.
Now, this is an interesting setup to start with. 3 players on mid. You can already see that Ness is looking to ult in as soon as contact is made, but MIBR very passive there. It's instead towards Heaven that they look to fight with Startup. Already have a chance there to take down Toki. And it looks like now a redirect. Ness is going to ult onto the ramp, and they can immediately dive in on the back of it, but that was all a bait.
Nothing.
Every bait and switch, a work of art for MIBR, but they lose one still. Ness able to find it with the operator, locking down mid, and now leaving MIBR without much choice. It looks like those 3 players will walk out. No! Smurfette at least gets one, and Toki somehow finds it through the wall.
Yeah, off the contact. That gave enough information, and what was initially going to be a take onto the A site and a TP from Sayuri. Now, she's probably quite happy that she's on the other side of the map, because there really isn't much space there at all. Any damage also able to be healed from that Sky, and it is looking like they're going to fall straight into a retake setup, especially with the way that the best B site plants normally have that opportunity for main. When you have the Cosmic Divide available for Toki, you can section that off. So if anything, MIBR are probably hoping someone will fight them here. And unless Sarah's thinking of taking a pretty hefty risk. It kind of is.
Planted.
We'll just wait instead.
I mean, they really have to drop the ball on this one. Bastarda and Sayuri, although the map may be favored to them with the streak of rounds, the advantage they have, for now at least. The odds are certainly stacked against them in this one. Time ticking, though. GX step out, all four from one angle. It's going to be an isolated fight. Bastarda does well with the first, but that is all she wrote. As a defuse inevitable now, GIANTX finally landing themselves that second round. They've taken a while to show these signs of life, but better late than never.
Yeah, and they're going to look at this as like, okay, if we can get this streak going now, 7-5, even an 8-4, might not be a death sentence. They've already proven that once. Much better looking round from them, and also just the calm within it. Not rushing into some of these fights, not taking the individual battles. That's what worked out for them. The problem, though, is whether or not MIBR are going to allow that to happen again, because this was sort of a bit more of a disjointed round. Some early aggression that failed, a back and forth of whether they should go A or not. When they've been direct, they've been really tough to beat.
It'll be a slow approach by MIBR, looking to make this a punchy round onto the A site.
Bring them down.
The pressure on the shoulders of Smurfette, 2 away from that showstopper being online again, but those picks won't come easy. Managed to slip into position, but that flash from Bastarda, absolutely perfect. The A site crumbles within seconds, and MIBR, I love this, just going back to punchy plays at times that work wonders for this squad. Viper's pit, look at the shape of that pit too. It has given them so much control, and
Face your fear.
not even sure they needed to do that, but really covering all their bases. The Nightfall is going to buy so much time that GX might even just save.
Yeah, they want to make sure that this round is confirmed. Don't want to give anybody an opportunity to try and clutch, and just making sure that this isn't going to slip away. And also you have to bear in mind, they are 2 away from a showstopper, 1 away from Dimensional Drift. There's not really a reason to have all 5 ults online, so confirming an additional one. Of course, the pit has faded as well, but they'll still have plenty to play with into the coming rounds, and making sure that 8 is confirmed is ever so important. But that round is pretty much all down to Bastarda. I'll say as well, just having the read when you've tried to clear something with a snake bite, but making sure that it's cleared, it's ever so important, because you're going to see Smurfette consistently try and make cheeky plays like that throughout the map. But they have caught her, I think, every single time she's tried to drop out of heaven. They have been so ready, so prepared for that sort of play, and she gets absolutely nothing. And the double duelist right now for GX, it's just not been their map. They have not been able to find the value that has been there on the other side.
8-2. I mean, it seems like a damning scoreline, but we said that on Abyss. You kind of hold your breath for these comebacks. Oh, that pressure is huge! SRN diving in, that op shot hurt, and like a shark with blood in the water, she just swam straight in there, full speed ahead. Advantage for the attackers, but they haven't cleared the site just yet. Eva's there, but not for long. And the rope being taken is very well and truly heard.
Spike planted.
This one again has fallen apart. And for GX, the question of do they just carry this forward, look to fight the final round with the best weapons that they possibly can, or do they throw themselves into this with a chance for an 8-4 still there? It looks like that's the choice.
Smurfette showstopper available, but the same is there for the other side. SRN just playing up top, knowing that the time is on MIBR's side. An additional member to this squad, and while Smurfette can only go running to her demise, Toki has an opportunity on the site but gets absolutely nothing. 9 again over on this attack for MIBR. They are looking fearsome. And for GX, it does feel like the hope, the only hope that they have, is that they can match them on that attack side threat.
Now, the one thing I'll say for GX, you know, still with 9-3 being the best possible scoreline for them, every time we cut to those cams, every time the round ends and they've lost it, you can see that even if it is an open and shut case, you'd never be able to know from the look on their faces. The morale certainly high, happy to be playing here on that stage in Seoul, but they need to find success here. They need that 9-3 and the showstopper. Luckily, countered by the refract. No kill found, but SRN still trading out on backside.
SRN has started to take over. A nice shot from Sarah. That's the spike down. SRN shut down as well, and by the looks of it, 9-3 is just the scoreline of the halves. Unless Lisa has something to say, but it is a three-player stack-up. He's going to try and create a little bit of additional space, but finding a freebie here seems impossible. There's at least a lot of time to play with, and that's the one thing that may start to get into the heads of the opponents. But Sarah's watching, and Smurfette is immediately available for the trade. It will be 9-3 once again. GX at least with a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, a chance at the half still. Certainly after what we saw in Abyss, there's no counting them out, but this resurgence is going to have to be monumental for GIANTX as MIBR lead 9-3. We'll find out who takes this series after the break. Well, your Coinbase Econ report really tells the story of that first half. SRN lighting up the scoreboard, but as usual, she wasn't alone in that affair.
No. I think Lisa and Melissa are both, again, having fantastic performances, but it's safe to say the story was definitely on one double duelist rather than the other. I think some of the supportive flashes we saw from Bastarda as well, now picking up that duelist. But it is going to be the tale of two halves. Can GX recover once again in the fashion that they did in the last? They looked like they were going to take us to OT from almost a more damning position than we find them in now, but it really does rely on the pistol or the second round. I've got to say it at this point because we've seen a few second rounds go the other way, but they need a boost at the beginning of this half because from 11-3, there is very few teams I believe in.
That's very fair to say. I mean,
maybe there's one.
Even from 9-3. Yeah, I can't think of who that would be, Tom, but...
NRG.
Fair enough. Fair enough. 9-3 is the scoreline for MIBR. This pistol, as you said, carries a lot of weight. For them, they can bounce back if they lose it. It's whatever, but for GX, this is do or die. At least it feels that way. Nice paranoia. That's so damning. Ness dives in and immediately, she knows. The best she can do is probably damage as they run their way around the site, putting the pressure on. Sayuri still drawing breath in the end. It could be a flawless round, and indeed it will be. We said GX needed to win this one. They didn't even make a dent.
Oh, that was confident in the play, solid paranoia, but also just the crossfires that this team creates. It feels so difficult to break down, and well, even with a split second to react, it was a wonderful opener. And then Bastarda able to add a couple more. We mentioned the fact that the second round was what brought them back from the depths last time about, but I don't think you can really hope for that every single time. In fact, look at the investment that's currently coming in for the side of MIBR. They're not messing about.
Oh! That damage is massive. And, well, when you come into a round like that, you really got to hope that your opponents aren't set up on an angle together, playing on distance, on height as well. With a Guardian, that's pretty much a loss condition ticked for you there. 11-3. MIBR from this point, and as you said, Tom, there's very few teams that can make these kind of comebacks happen. We did see GX manage something similar, little. It was Abyss as well, you know, neither here nor there, whether it was harder or easier. Let's not compare the trauma. Let's just say it was a tough situation, and they managed to climb themselves back into within punching distance. But right now, they are leagues apart.
Now, without that lifeline, it really does feel damning. They're going to have an absurd streak of rounds once again, and MIBR are not looking to let them have anything. SRN has decided that it is time that this series is complete. And with already a couple to her name, 17 on the board overall, needs a recovery. Eva will be able to at least put things back into contention. A lot of damage done onto Melissa as well, who will be forced to retreat. Sarah trying a lurk on the other side of the map. And I think she's been spotted. The fight not going to go away. Her doppelganger of a Viper taking her out. And now they'll have a player advantage going into this retake.
But no flank control for GX. Garage is a disaster waiting to happen, and so they decide to get a little bit aggressive ahead of the problem. As Eva's already walked through the spawn, in goes the Gravwell, and now Eva looking for this fight, presumably. I thought maybe Toki would go up, but no.
Paranoia.
Still down bottom and gets caught by Paranoia, deleted as a result, but Eva pulling them back into this falls. Again, the final hurdle is what it comes down to. Running the race are GX, but miles behind as MIBR leading now with just one left. So many chances. I mean, look, you come in here, we saw a streak of rounds for GX in the previous map, but if you come in and believe in 9 rounds in a row on the attack side plus OT victory, I don't think you've been watching much of MIBR.
No, I think as well that from Eva there, she's a little bit unlucky.
You guys are
just
so fucking bad, bro!
Give it to him.
Damn.
I got yous, okay?
That's what you love
Honestly,
to see.
what I need to see is what happens, what she'll say when they're up against Team Liquid. That will be the real conversation. The team that kicked you, but also you have to bear in mind for MIBR, this is a road that maybe it'll be slightly longer, but they are looking to make it back to the grand final. They did it last year, tasted defeat in the final match of the tournament. Of course, to Shopify. No one's surprised there, but they are looking to set their campaign off with a bang. SRN tagged up and will be executed. Melissa already into the site, but maybe a little bit ahead of everybody else. That's given a 2-player advantage. And well, maybe the start of what needs to be an impressive streak as one by one MIBR fall.
Spot planted.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, you talked a little bit about your 9-3. The 12-3 odds, I think it's fair to say, might be a little bit more heavily stacked against you.
Doctor Strange to come out.
If there's even one multiverse or one, or
maybe
universe
John
where you get
QT,
this.
whichever one you are.
Yeah. 8 rounds in a row. For GX, they found their first of 9. It's a strong start, sure. But it really feels like an inevitability. And for MIBR as well, you got to think about what's on the line for them. You mentioned their loss to Shopify. Well, victory here means you get to face off against Shopify. A chance for a revenge arc, perhaps, for this squad.
I need to blow something up.
Send them down to lowers early. And if they manage to win this map convincingly, there is at least hope of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can say having this sort of like first map to get the flow state going on the stage may have benefits of its own.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't think anybody's expecting Shopify to come in cold, but if MIBR come in hot, as they have for the starts of majority of these maps, like they have been really impressive. The last one ended up slipping away from them, but They still closed it out. This one, I don't think there's any slipping to be had. A weaker purchase. They've been playing it safe on a lot of occasions, not overly investing when they have these leads, but even still making them close. The starter has been a big part of that. She's been so irritating to play against. With already a player advantage, she might be able to get in and try and find them while behind. The danger is coming in from Toki, though.
Planted.
This definitely feels like the beginning of the end, but GX, they'll fight tooth and nail to try to take this across the line. Their second of the 9 in a row needed, now confirmed and locked in, but for MIBR, it only feels like a matter of time. Round on round as now the rifles come out, as ultimates will be online fairly soon for that defensive side. Correct me if I'm wrong, GX still have one timeout to work with, right?
I think they used both in the first
Oh, did
half.
they?
Yeah.
Okay. That's even worse.
I think they used one at like 4-1 and then one once they lost like a big streak of rounds.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I was going to say, like, it's kind of tough to figure out when you put that in here, like when a round gets close or you see a gap.
When MIBR
But now you just have to wait for MIBR to feel threatened, and that might take a while. They have still 7 rounds to work with.
Maybe they'll throw one in if a couple go the other way, but first we need to see a couple go the other way. It's aggressive from Nest. This failed last time, but succeeds this time. A good start to the round. Starter always pressuring the other side of the map, though. He's actually forced Sarah all the way back. The plant coming in, though. And this is going to be a very long rotation back. This one might be free if Sarah steps any further back, but it does mean that Bastarda has to walk. Now, the time that's being wasted may end up being worse if she doesn't find large amounts of value, but there is a good chance that she does.
Oh, walking by Sarah. But that might even be better with 2 players in main having no idea that their flank is wide open. SRN finding one, but here comes Bastarda. An easy first. The second comes with it. And a 2 versus 2. Still a chance, but time is ticking. They need to be quick, and they've already put it down to just 1. Sarah with GX's upper bracket life in her hands, and it slipped through her fingers. Defuse confirmed. MIBR have done it. 13-5. A labored first and second map, but this one looks dominant for the team that took the road less traveled by through LCQ. They've started this story in Seoul with success.
Yeah, the fact is the only team that was able to defeat them over in Brazil was their rivals of Team Liquid. It didn't mean any less when they came in as one of the lower seeds. Everybody knew that there was a good chance they were going to be a team to fear. But I do also think that GX proved that even though they're coming in as a slightly lower seed from EMEA, they are definitely still dangerous. I think them going into the lower bracket definitely doesn't mean demise, a chance to try and make a run forward, but the story's definitely going to be about MIBR as they will go into that rematch versus their final in 2024 to see if they can now take down Shopify.
Yeah, for GX, it is definitely something to be proud of. This could have been a 2-0. We saw a shocking first half from them on Abyss, and with even 1 or 2 rounds going their way there, a different story would have been told in Seoul tonight. But instead, MIBR, they take this 2-1. They start with success and now move on to face Shopify, a team that has dealt them a pretty painful defeat in the past. And that is a rematch that no doubt they'll be fired up to get into in a few days.
Oh, for sure. That's going to be an absolute banger of a match. But the fact is, this was one as well. I thoroughly enjoyed our